you could be anywhere doing a lot of different things, but you chose to be here. And you chose to go somewhere. You said, man, I can go and I can get better. I can go and I can learn. I can go and I can maybe go from where I'm at to where I want to go.
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. In a world filled with endless opportunities, why would two men who have built 13 multi-million-dollar businesses altruistically invest 5 hours per day to teach you the best practice business systems and moves that you can use? Because they believe in you, and they have a lot of time on their hands. They started from the bottom, now they're here. It's the Thrivetime show starring the former U.S. Small Business Administration's Entrepreneur of the Year, Clay Clark, and the entrepreneur trapped inside an optometrist body, Dr. Robert Zoellner. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses.
We started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, now we're here.
Mr. Clyde started from the bottom, and now we're at the top, teaching you the systems to get what we got. Colton Dixon's on the hooks, I break down the books. Z's bringing some wisdom and the good looks. As the father of 5.
Yes, and yes. Thrive Nation, on today's show, we're answering. There's a mystery guest. We're going to call this mystery guest Schronson Brubert. They are a top insurance agent in whatever state they're in. We don't know what state they're in. But they're a mistake. They choose to remain anonymous, and they submitted 63 questions that they would like for me to ask you during a 50-minute show. So the way it's going to go. I am going to tee up the question, and what you're going to do, sir, is you are going to pontificate and share. We're going to see if we can get through all 63 of these questions in less than 50 minutes while you are partially hopped up on Dayquil. So here we go.
Let's do it.
Question number 1. Do you have a tax-saving strategy with investments?
Yes, it's called 1031. When you sell a property, you want to put your money into a 1031, and then you delay paying taxes on that property down the road.
Now, this guy's doing great, by the way. This guy, Schronson Brubert, whoever he is. What type of investments, he asks, do you put money in, sir?
I really like real estate. I like gold and silver, and I like crypto, a little bit of crypto. I think a diverse portfolio is really good. Not all your eggs in one basket.
Question number 3, coming in hot. Are there any investment vehicles that you refuse to use? Any investment vehicles where you go,
Well, if I'm going to invest into a company that's not a major company through maybe a stock market, if you will, I want to have skin in the game, and I want to make sure they have skin in the game too. So I'm not an angel investor. People come up to me all the time and say, "Hey, I got this great idea. I want to make a coffee shop, and I just need $250,000."
That's all.
That's all. I mean, look what Starbucks does. They do.
It's so easy.
It's so easy, And I always ask them, I say, have you ever even made a cup of coffee for somebody? No. I said, why don't you go be a barista for about, a couple of years, then we'll talk, So I don't do a lot of angel investing. If I'm going to invest, I want to own a piece of the company so I can have some influence in the company.
Now, have you ever thought about buying me a Lamborghini? So that's a good
in your Lambo club. I want that, Steve.
It's a great investment. Okay. Now, question number 4. I'm not going to ask you because I know that you'll say I don't want to answer that question. He really wanted to know more about his rash and could you diagnose it? Does he have monkeypox? We're not going to ask him. We won't ask question number 4.
Are you talking about Schronson Brubert?
Yeah, Schronson Brubert. And we're not
he's got monkeypox.
Okay. Now, we're not. Question number 5. Do you worry about the banking system reporting to the government your purchases of, let's say, precious metals, these kind of things? Do you worry about that? Is that something high on your priority list of things to worry about?
No, I don't worry about it. I mean, it's one of those things. If you're doing everything on the up and up, I mean, you have to worry about anything. It's the guys that are doing jackassery that have to worry about stuff.
That's right. That's right.
Now, when your business is running without you, question number 6, when your business is running without you, how often do you check on it? Now, again, This guy, Schronson Brubert, he happens to be in the insurance industry. We have no idea what state he's in. Z, we don't even know if he's in one of these United States. Who knows? He might be in Greenland, a future state. We don't even know. But we do know he's doing well. And he's saying, hey, you know, how often it's running without me now?
I do a light touch every day. I do a medium touch every couple of weeks. And I do a like a shiatsu massage on it about every quarter.
Yeah. That's the one you want to be on vacation for.
Yeah.
But you're checking, you're checking in on the companies. You're making sure things aren't
they text me every day.
Okay.
Numbers. So I do it. That's a light touch is what I call.
Yeah.
And then I go over the P&Ls every month. So that's kind of a little medium take. And then about once a quarter, I do a little bit more of a deep dive with managers, doctors, meetings and stuff like that.
Now, how do you go about determining what to pay key employees? And again, I'm not asking for the numbers, but how do you determine, what's fair? Because you're a guy who's always told me, you want your businesses to be sustainably profitable. You want to pay your best people the best you can pay them, but the business does need to be profitable. He's wanting to know how he can figure out what to pay key employees.
Here's what I've always found out. You find a number one draft pick. You find a superstar. You find an A player, and you ask them this question, and this is really tough. So pay attention. How much do you want?
Yeah.
And you would be surprised how many times that they come back with a number, and you're like, you think to yourself, I'd have paid you more.
Yeah.
But they're happy with that. So I'm happy with that. Everybody's happy with that. If they come in with some ridiculous, amount, then you have to start using a little bit of a negotiation tactics. But that's the thing that I found is that people they know in their mind what they need.
Yeah.
And if you're not paying them what they need, it's unsustainable.
Yep.
I mean, they're going to always be looking for the next thing. Right?
Now, question 9 coming in hot. We got to keep this energy going.
Okay,
At 63.
I'm going.
Question number 9 here. Do you use debt to buy appreciating assets?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Come on, Stronson.
Next question. If you invest in real estate, which sector do you prefer? Commercial, residential, multifamily? What do you prefer?
A little bit of everything.
Okay. Next question. Schronson Brubert with some great questions.
Schronson, he's coming in hot.
Do you have one person in charge of all your companies, or do you like to have an individual who runs each
Individuals that run each thing.
Okay. Okay, here you go. Next question coming in hot. Do you utilize outsourcing vendors like a virtual assistant who's officing out of Indonesia, or a virtual assistant who's in Thailand, that kind of thing?
I in one of the businesses that we have started doing that, and they're out of the Philippines, and you got to be careful with that. But if you do it right, you can find some good work and save some money that way.
What's your morning routine? Right. Schronson Brubert.
Whoa.
Ian slip. Keep going.
Oh my God. Don't say the guy's name wrong.
Well, now it's a little bit different. It depends on the season and what's going on. But right now, my morning routine is I get up and I plan out my day and I do my to-do list. If you don't have a to-do list, then you need to put that on a to-do list to make a to-do list. And then that to-do list for the day is just I go through it and try to get as many of those things knocked out as possible. And then guess what? I look up and go, oh, it's time to have lunch. Oh, it's time to have dinner. Oh, my day's over. Okay, tomorrow.
Next question. How do you prioritize spending time with family? I've told this person, because he's listened to some of our shows, and I've told him that you're a big family guy. You love your family. He wants to know, how do you do that? How do you prioritize spending time with family versus the business? How does that all work for you?
Well, here's one thing you find out in life is that, when you're opening a business, it's like firing off a rocket. It's a lot of energy, a lot of time, a lot of effort to get that thing going up off the ground. And so I often get young entrepreneurs asking me, how do I know when I've worked too much this week and when I need to be home? And I tell them the same thing every time. Open your ears and listen, because your significant other, your children, your partner, whoever it is that you're knowing that you need to spend time with, will let you know. But listen to them. And the key is that when you do then spend time with them, be present. Put your phones down, put your computer up, put your iPad on the shelf. Be present, listen, eye contact, talk to them. It's the worst thing in the world to go out to dinner with somebody and they're sitting there on their phone the whole time. And you're like, why are we, I thought this was,
We say being present
is a present.
I thought, you go out to dinner, and you're, it's date night.
That's a great question, Stronson.
Great question. And you're like, honey, do you want a glass of wine? Do you ever go, honey, do you want an appetizer?
You want this deep? Oh, never mind. Something else.
So you need to be present. You need to be there. You need to be there.
Sorry, wrong show.
I don't know what show you're on, but let's keep going. Okay, so
all right, Stronson.
Doctor, the next question here.
Strong's tough.
Do you read books?
Yes, I do read books.
Okay, that's a great question. Next question. I know these are great. These are quite. This person, whoever he is making really good money now. They're doing well. And these are the kinds of questions that you start asking once you no longer are thinking about, how am I going to pay the bills? How am I going to sell something? These are great questions. Next question is, how do you track your investments?
Well, now they have all these apps that really make it pretty easy to track investments. And so I kind of cheat like that. These kids these days got it so much easier than we old school guys did, you got this thing in your hand that, if you can Google this or Google that. And we had to do old school stuff. So, I had some apps. And then I have some, like my financial planners, we get together twice a year and sit down and talk about assets and talk about stuff and go through the list and all that. So.
Now, next question. How do you manage stress? And then Steve gets to ask a question. There are a few questions on this list that we will not be asking you today, primarily about, how do I know if I have monkeypox? These sorts of questions. We're not going to answer those questions on today's show, Schronson Brubert. So how do you manage stress, Dr. Z?
I was going to say something funny, but you have to understand that stress is inevitable. We're all going to have it. It's stress is defined by time frame of getting something done. So you have to get something done within a time frame, right? And that's the stress bubble. And you have to just understand that if someone said, hey, you've got to do this big assignment, just break it down. Break it down into small parts and understand that it's going to be okay. Breathe deeply. Kung Fu fight, whatever exercise you do, you got to do some exercising. You've got to do keep yourself in good shape and drink lots of water. And I tell you what, the biggest thing about stress, and it's easier said than done, is don't worry about it. Don't stress about it. There's a lot of things people worry about that they cannot have any control over. And those are the things that bother me the most. I'm like, you can't control that. So why are you stressing over it? Why are you stressing over that? So control the things you can control and do what you know to do the right things, and it'll all be all right.
Steve Currington, what question do you have? And again, folks, SteveCurrington.com. He's a mortgage lender, SteveCurrington.com.
Dr. Z, tell me about the craziest firing you've ever had to do. Like the most egregious thing that someone did and you just had to go lop their head off.
Oh, yeah, this is a good story.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. So hey, I don't have my
sound effects.
I don't have my gangster. I don't have my
Hey, will you do me a favor, James? Will you make a list of any of the sound effects that we don't have, and then we'll go in and get that all.
The Godfather. That's my main.
Okay, so the Godfather's the go-to. Again, this is our maiden voyage in the new studio here.
It is. I love it.
We will
by the way.
We'll make sure that we get that Godfather soundtrack. Okay, back to you, sir.
So I had a doctor approach me and say, "Listen, my husband got his job moved him to another city, and so I'm going to have to put my notice in. I'm sorry about that." And I go, "Well, that happens. I understand. You've been a great employee. You haven't burned any bridges. Maybe if you guys come back to Tulsa, you can come back work for me again." She says, "Okay, great." So a day passes and I have another doctor walk into my office, and whenever they want to shut the door, it's never good. It's never good. Can I shut the door? Do you have a minute? May I shut the door? And you're like, oh, this is not good. So she shuts the door and she says, listen, I know the other doctor just put her notice in and she's going to be quitting. And of course, at this time, I have maybe 6, 7 doctors that work for me. And she said, I'm going to have to quit too. And I go, what? And she goes, yes, unless I get a pay raise and a better schedule, and here's the schedule I want, I'm going to have to put my notice in also. And right then, Steve, in my mind, what did I say to myself?
I have to figure out a way to keep her until it's convenient for me to fire her.
Right. I said to myself, you're fired in my mind.
Yeah.
But I didn't say that out loud.
You were like, oh my gosh.
I said, I'm going to make you an offer you can't refuse. And then I said, oh, you bet. Oh my gosh, of course. You want how much you want? The pay raise? Of course. Yes, you're so worth it. And that schedule, what? You deserve that.
Oh gosh, you don't want to work on Saturdays? Oh, you shouldn't have to.
Done. I mean, that's crazy that I make you work on Saturdays. I mean, what kind of ogre am I? And then I went out and promptly within the next month found 2 doctors to come work for me. Dos.
Yep.
And then they both started working for me. And I called the one up, the one left moved off. And then the other one came up and I said, and listen, I'm going to give you the super sauce on firing somebody. You just say these words, it's not working out.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
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 That's no discussion. We don't need to sit down. Yeah. I like I'm not happy. You're not happy. Let's get happy.
Let's get happy. Oh yeah. I like that. I'm not happy. You're not happy. Let's get happy.
That's great.
And I called her up to my office and I said, bye-bye. And in my mind, I had fired her, but I couldn't do it because you always want to go through the filter of what's best for the company.
Yeah.
What's best for the business. And so then you say to yourself, I'm going to make you an offer you can't refuse. You come to me on this day of my daughter's wedding. And you want me to do this thing. Oh.
Did you find a horse head in your bed? I put a horse head in your bed with.
I can feel you. I'll make you take care of that thing the other day.
No, but this is real because what happens is we're having a lot of fun with it, obviously. But when you run a business and you have to fire somebody, that's not a pleasant thing for anybody. But Dr. Zoellner's advice on this has helped me so much. Of just tell them it's not working out. I mean, you've clearly discussed it with the person in advance. You're not blindsiding people. They know they're being nefarious, and you just have to say, hey, it's not working out. Next question coming in hot from Schronson Brubert. How many books per year do you read on average? Now, real quick, I want to have a little intervention here. You taught me this, and this is big. You taught me this, and you maybe said it differently, but you were basically telling me, Clay, it's not about like how many books you read. It's about implementing the moves. Yeah. It's not about just being the guy that reads a book a day. It's about being the guy that implements the moves you're learning. Could you talk about that real quick? 'Cause I think a lot of entrepreneurs feel this need to incessantly read copious amounts of books that they aren't ever going to actually finish, or they're buying books they don't read, or they're just overwhelming themselves with knowledge but not executing. Can you talk about the balance of that?
Yeah. What's the point? I mean, what's the point? If you're not going to execute what it is you're learning, what's the point?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
I mean, just, watch Netflix series.
Yeah, it's just entertainment at that point. Like, why even do it? Yeah, you're just.
I mean, if you're not going to implement it, I mean, there's a lot of great books out there, a lot of great authors out there, and there's a lot of great mentorship to be found in there. I know it's not as fun as a real life person, but it is a level of, you for say you couldn't hang out with Donald Trump for the day, but you can read Art of the Deal, right? So you get a little bit of his mentorship, you get a little bit of his mindset, you get a little bit of little taste of the DJT. I mean, you're not going to, call up one day and say, hey, President Trump, do you mind if I come up to the White House and do lunch with you?
Can I pick your brain?
And be really good. Melania could be there too. I mean, just a sidebar.
And I'll be very real too. One thing you taught me over the years, which is powerful, was don't overestimate people's curiosity. So even today, even though today we interviewed Robert Kiyosaki, or today I was on the phone with Eric Trump as on the Trump theme. or basically clarifying his booking time for next
Right,
week.
right.
I'm not on the phone with Eric, assuming he wants to listen to my pontifications about anything for 28 minutes. I'm on the phone. I say, hey, 2 quick items, and I try to make the call as short as possible. Now, if he wants to keep that conversation going, he can, but he manages the Trump Enterprise prizes, and I know he's a busy guy, and I know he wasn't sitting around waiting for my call. And I think there's people out there that overestimate people's curiosity or interest in their lives and their businesses, and that can really end. That can make people not want to take your call because they know every call that comes from you is going to be a 25-minute call. So I encourage everybody out there, if you do have a mentor in your life, don't overcall them. Next question, then we'll go to James with a question here is, what's your best marketing advice? You built the state's largest auto auction. You built an optometry clinic that's super successful. You've helped rebrand a bank, et cetera, a durable medical equipment company, medical equipment company, a medical practice. I mean, you're involved in a lot of things. What's your best marketing advice there, sir?
Be consistent. Have multiple legs. We, like to teach people 3 stools, 3 legs to the stool. 4 if you can do it. But you want to be consistent. One of the things that happens, I had a guy come up to me one time. He's a dentist, and he said, I want to be the Dr. Z of dentistry. I said, okay, well, you advertising it? He goes, no. I go, well, you need to advertise, and you need to make it an offer, and it needs to be something great, and it needs to be something where people are just banging their head against the wall to try to get in to see you. I mean, it's got to be powerful,
Right.
And he, anyway, it was just kind of in passing. He wasn't really a mentor of mine. He was just kind of at a business meeting, that he came up to me. And anyway, about a month later, I run into this guy again, and I go, so how's it going? He goes, well, that wasn't good advice. I go, excuse me? He goes, yeah, I advertised for a whole month.
Wow.
A whole month. Whoa. Didn't move the needle any. And I'm like, So it's not just about advertising, it's about the messaging and being on point. Sometimes I know I'm a little nerdy in this way. When I'm watching a show, sometimes I'm more interested in the commercials just to see what people are doing out there to try to get me to buy their product.
Hey, I'm the same way.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. When I'm watching a show, a lot of times my family will say, what are you doing? I'm like taking notes. So I'm going, that was a pretty hot teaser there. There's an NFL game on, and they'll go, coming back after the break, yada, yada, yada. And they'll cut to the commercial, and I'm like, shh.
Sometimes the commercial actually moves me. I mean, I'm looking up, I got a tear in my eye. I'm like, what happened?
That's a hot commercial.
And then sometimes I watch a commercial and I go, that was so bad, it almost makes me not want to call or not want to buy that product. Yeah. That was a complete waste of money, swinging a mess.
Now, James, you have a question, but before we do that, Natalie, can you tell Devin that my sound effects are somehow disabled? I might have done something wrong there. So, James, what question would you have for Dr. Robert Zoellner?
Dr. Z, what was your biggest home run investment or business throughout your life?
Ooh, my biggest would be the girl that brought me to, I could go really old school on you, James, but I think the biggest one for me was the one that I put the most time and energy into, and that is my optometry clinic. That was my passion. When I was figuring out what to do, I grew up very poor, and I said to myself, I don't see a lot of poor doctors. Most of the time doctors kind of got it going on a little bit, they're not driving Lambos like you, Currington, but they're.
Well, to be fair, it's my dad's.
Oh, there you go. Then I said, well, what kind of doctor do I want to be? And that led me down the path of optometry because, it's business and doctoring kind of mixed together, and you're helping people see better. I had glasses when I was very young, and the magic of that happened. So that's what I put my first energy into. And that's the girl that brought me to the dance. And once you have a successful business and you get that really rolling good, and that allows you to do other businesses. I know some guys try to do other businesses and they don't have their first one really rolling efficiently. And next thing you know, they've got 2 bad businesses.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you got to be very careful about that. And the timing of that is very important.
Now, Dr. Z, next question coming in from Schronson Brubert, whoever this person is.
Schronson, man, he's fired up.
We are protecting this person's identity.
Questions.
We'll say this person is in the insurance game. We'll
Yeah.
say they are in these United States. We'll say we don't know what state
Are
they're
they
in.
in Oklahoma?
That's see, we're not even going to ask that kind of question because that's
I
not
don't know
what
why
we're
I
gonna-
asked.
Wow.
I don't even know
we're
why
not
I
going to
asked.
do that, Steve. We're not going to talk about that on today's show. Now, what's your number one rule in business? That's the question. I'm going to give Dr. Z a moment to think about it because you have many rules you've taught me over the years. One of the rules you taught me was, Clay, it's always showtime.
Always showtime.
And I remember the first time you said that to me, I'm going, what? You said, it's always showtime. When you are in front of your employees, when you're in front of customers, it's always showtime. Now, you can have your own private time and your own cerebral time but when you're in front of your employees and your staff, it's showtime. And I thought, well, that's a good pro tip. And you said, then when you get home, it's showtime too. And I'm going, oh, what in the world? The only time I don't get showtime is in the van. So that was a powerful rule for me to recognize there's no time that's not showtime except for the time that I'm in my van by myself, but then look out because someone's probably watching there too. What are your thoughts, C? Just what's your biggest tip for business owners? Your biggest tip?
Well, I mean, I have my biggest tip is probably my number one. My number one rule is pigs get fat, hogs get butchered.
Yep.
And that talks about greed in the industry. That talks about, you got to pay your people well. You got to pay yourself well. You've got to charge the right price for your goods and products and services, whatever your business is peddling these days. And I think so many people get kind of off on that, on how to price their items. And that gets them into trouble and then leads to failure. So, big story in my industry, optometry back years ago, you'd come in and they'd practically give the eye exam away and then they would overcharge on the glasses. And so then other companies looked at that and said, oh my gosh, you're buying a pair of frames for $40 and you're selling them for $500.
Yeah.
There's a huge markup there. We can do it for a lot less. So then a lot of these commercial optometry clinics came into being, and lo and behold, then the eye doctors were like, oh, wait a second. And they were not charging enough for the eye exam, which is, only they can do.
Yeah.
Whereas the glasses, a lot of people can make a pair of glasses. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So sometimes you get things kind of upside down in your business. So you have to make sure that you're pricing things correctly, that you're being a pig and not a hog. Because if you're a hog, guess what? Someone will come in and take your business away from you.
Now, next question. This is going to be a tough question, and I'm going to ask it to you, but I want to give you a little bit of room to breathe on this one, okay? It's how close of a relationship do you build with key employees? Now, what I have seen, and feel free to correct me, I've seen you've been very kind and generous to the point where at the Christmas party, you'll stand up, Z, and you'll say, hey, if you've been here for 5 years or longer, stand up. 10 years or longer, stand up. Pretty soon, you've got a full room of people standing up that have been there for over 10 years, over 15 years. And I've seen you do that. And then I've seen it rewarded sometimes with kindness and people say thank you. And other times you get screwed. And so what I've noticed about you, and it's a credit to you and your personality, how you choose to behave, is you've always been kind and welcoming to people, even though you've been screwed over the years. And so I've seen you do that. And I don't know if you have kind of a rule in your mind of how you handle that, because I've seen you be the best of friends until people give you reason to not trust them.
Right. And when you look at an employee, you have to understand that it's their season. They have a season with you. Very few employees are going to be with you, say, forever. Right. And so they have a season with you. So if you understand that, whenever they do then move away, or when they do want to retire, or when they do want to quit or go do something else or whatever, then it doesn't hurt your little feelings so much. And the thing about it is I think it's kind of like parenting.
Yep.
Your children have friends. They need a parent. And the parenting is that fine line between discipline,
right,
holding accountability, yet being nice, yet taking care of, yet also listening to, and then sometimes, paddling if you need to, and disciplining. So, it's really more like parenting as some of these employees, want to be your best friend. And
right.
You just can't let them be your best friends. They want to hang out with you and go do the stuff and, hey, we travel with you and do blah, 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 blah. And you're just like, yeah, it's not going to happen. So, you got to be careful. But then again, you have to be in their lives not on their lives.
Now, time management, one thing that you taught me years ago, the question is, what's your best advice on time management? I know you've told me directly, you said, Clay, if you're going to say yes to something, you have to say no to something else.
That's right.
And I was thinking, what? I mean, that was like, put that on a shirt. You know, that's a notable quotable right there. What would be your advice you're giving somebody right now? Again, this guy's super busy, super successful. He's doing great in real estate and insurance. This is Schronson Brewer. We have no idea what state he's in. And so what would you say for your number one advice for time management?
Yeah, let your yes be yes and your no be no, and make your schedule, or someone will make your schedule for you. Set your calendar, or otherwise it'll get set for you. And that's how you do time management. You be in charge of your day. You're in charge. I remember one time, this is going to sound mean. Oh, I don't want to sound mean. It's going to sound mean. I was at our old Thrive headquarters, and a young man came up to me and, was all suited up and ready to go, and said, are you Dr. Zoellner? And I said, yes, I am. And he introduced himself and was very nice. And he said, sir, I would really, really like to take you to lunch and pick your brain, maybe a dinner, maybe do that 3 times, and just really, I got some ideas, and I'd like for you to help me flesh them out, and on and on and on. And I said, young man, that's just not going to happen. I said, I could tell you a lie and say, yeah, here, call me or text me, and then ghost him and play hard to get and do all that little game shenanigans and all this. But I thought, my schedule's pretty booked right now. I've got all the personal people in my life that I'm mentoring. I've got all this stuff going on in my life. I've got the businesses going on in my life. I don't have time to slide another one into it. And that's just the way life is. So I think a lot of times, when you're doing time management, you want to be very purposeful about your time and understand that if you don't schedule it, if you don't put it on your calendar, somebody else will.
Now, before I ask you the next question, I just want to tee it up here. Steve Currington, we're going to you next, and then we'll go to James. So I've got 2 more questions, and we're going to you too. So get yourself psychologically prepared. This next question from Schronson Brewer, whatever state he's in. How much cash should a person keep on hand? Now, the context with this person is they have a cash-producing insurance business, which is largely residual, which means they sell a policy once and they get paid on it all the time. And they're wanting to know, hey, is the rule, how much cash as a percentage should I keep on hand?
Oh, I think about 3 months worth of, payments. So if you've got 3 months, a quarter, say a quarter of the year, you've got that much money kind of pigeonholed away, in case something went upside down. I think that's a good time frame, 90 days, 3 months.
But next question here. This is something that you've done a great job. I've seen you do it. Is you have created a merit-based pay culture in your businesses where you reward excellence. I've seen you do that, and therefore you see fruit of that because the people that have been on your team have been there for 20 years. I mean, one of the incredible teammates that you have that manages one of your companies was my wife's boss 25 years ago.
Yeah.
And she's still there doing great. And I talked to her on the phone, and she's so enthusiastic about working with you. So I'm not wanting to get into the nitty gritties about how you reward top people, but he wants to know, how much transparency do you want to have with that top person in your company about the financial status of the company, that one person, not the whole team, but that one person?
Well, I think you have an inner team. You have an inner working team that's really kind of close. You have the few. It's like a pyramid. You've got a few of them that are at the top of the businesses, and those people you kind of let them in on behind the curtain, and that's why you can talk to them about the things you need to talk to them about. That's why you sometimes have to have the hard decisions or hard conversations with them about, hey, they need to let somebody go, or they need to do this, or they need to do that, or we need to increase prices here, we need to decrease price there. So I think sometimes they like it when they feel like they're part of the team. Still, as the owner, you're going to be the one that's going to make the calls, but I think that you always have a handful of people that have earned that right to come on board and sit down with you in the P&L meetings and say, hey, look, here's your target, here's what you hit. Here's your target. Here's what you hit, and let them actually see it instead of just, telling them, hey, you're not doing good. Calling them up one day and go, hey, you're not doing good. You need to do better.
Now, Now, Z, the final question I want to ask, and I'll go to Steve here. Final question before we go to Steve and then James is, this individual is asking about your daily routine. Now, I want to share this real quick. When I first met you, you would have been, let's say, 40 years old, maybe late 30s ish.
Yeah.
And you were known as the hardest working man in Tulsa. You would hear that from people. They go, that guy right there, hardest working guy in Tulsa. So I remember you invited us to a casino themed Christmas party. And I heard that multiple times. Like, man, Dr. Z, that guy's a 7-day-a-week guy. He's going boom, boom, boom. That guy's going places. And you were a 7-day-a-week guy for a long time. And then eventually you moved that to a 6-day-a-week guy. And then eventually you moved it to a 5-day-a-week. And I don't know where you're at now, but could you speak to the listeners out there? First off, what kind of routine does somebody need to have to achieve success? And then what kind of routine do you allow yourself to enjoy now?
Well, that's the thing about it is, that here's what happens at the movies and the shows. They always highlight the big house, the Lamborghinis, the jets, the lifestyles, and that they should be highlighting the grind that got the person there. And it's the grind that doesn't get celebrated enough, but it's the grind that lets you then have the time to enjoy what you were grinding for. So, I mean, the thing about it is that you've got to be purposeful, driven, and you have to have a goal. And that's why, we try to do this show, Clay. We try to help people with mentorship on direction in their lives and how to become, there's quite a few people out there in the world want to own their own. They want to be their own boss.
Right.
If you're listening right now, you might say to yourself, yeah, I'm punching the clock, but I want to do my own thing. How do I do it? How do I do it? And that's what we're here to do. We're here to help you take that idea and make it happen, because it's a lot of hard work at first. I had a young man once did a clothing store, and he came up to me and said, hey, man, you got to come out and check out my new clothing store. It's really cool and hip and everything. And I went and I walked in and thought, oh, this is really cool and hip. You want a beverage, you want to, hang out, all the cool brands. And so I said, well, you did great. This is awesome. About 90 days later, I see him and he goes, I said, how's your store doing? He goes, I'm going to have to shut it down. And I go, oh no, I hate that. Why are you shutting it down? He goes, well, everybody's, I can't find good help. I go, what do you mean? He goes, people are stealing from me. I go, what? He goes, yeah, their buddies come in and they just let them walk out with clothes and goods and stuff. And people just steal from me. And I said, well, aren't you there? And he goes, well, I mean, I'm not there Fridays and Saturdays, of course. And I go, are those your busiest days? And he goes, yeah, the weekends are the busiest days. And I go, well, why aren't you there? And he goes, oh no, I'm not giving up leg time. I'm not,
Oh
no,
my God.
I'm not. No, that's leg time, baby. I'm a big wakeboarder. I gotta hit the lake. I mean, that's, and I'm just like, it just broke my heart, because I'm going, okay, you're not there. When the cat's away, the mice will play, and they were playing. And now he's going to lose this business that he put all this energy and money into, and
he'll blame it on everyone else.
And he'll blame it on them because they were stealing from him. Instead of saying, hey, listen, why don't you just buckle up and get in there and work 6 days a week for right now, until you finally find some people that you can trust, right? That you built up, that they're good people and you can trust them, and then you can take a weekend off here or there and go to the lake and go. The lake's going to be there.
Yeah.
If you want a business and you want to be able to build a clothing empire, as you said you wanted to, then focus on that.
Because I heard that's what you did when you started your optometry clinic, is you were like, you hired other people and then you just didn't come to work.
Yeah, I just took off. I just took off.
You're like, well, I mean,
here's the keys.
It's kind of running itself now. We've been
Steve,
open for 2 days.
Now, real quick, a quick kind of like a 10-minute warning. We're down to our final 10 minutes. So Steve Currington coming to you hot. What question do you have for Dr. Zoellner?
All right, I have a really good business question. I know that Lagavulin is one of your favorite. What is it? Is it like whiskey or what is it? Is it like
It's a scotch. It's a scotch.
What's the favorite cigar?
Liga Privada, Drew Estates, number 9.
Drew Estates, number 9.
Yes.
What is this? What was this beverage?
Liga. It's a cigar. Liga Privada.
This is a cigar.
Yeah, he said he named my favorite drink,
Lagavulin.
and
then
then
cigar.
and then he said, "What's your favorite cigar?"
Got it.
So
it's Liga Privada. What was it?
number 9.
And then what was the other part of it?
It's the
Drew
parent company's
Estates.
Drew Estates.
Gotcha.
Now, let me tell you something real quick about Lagavulin. First off, I am not a connoisseur of alcoholic beverages, but let me tell you what. Dr. Z one time, he says to me, hey, you should just try a little sip of this Lagavulin, which is created from a peat moss.
What could go wrong?
See, tell us briefly the process of Lagavulin. It's made from a peat moss.
It's made in the Islay region of Scotland, and there's no trees. What
And
they
it'll
do-
get you drunk just looking at it.
Have you ever met that's ass in a glass? I tell you
I
what.
mean, I'm serious. Like I used to have a sip, and I can't feel my face, Dr. Zoellner. Why are there 7 of you?
So
What's going on?
the cooking process, they actually use peat, which is, for lack of a better term, dirt, and it's right there on the beach. The sand, the ocean washes up on it, so there's a little bit of iodine and salt and earthy tones to it. And so when they cook the barley, I guess that's what it is, barley. Yeah. Anyway, when they cook it, it has this aroma that gets into it, and so it's really peaty.
And where is that? And I'm taking notes here. So where is this?
Scotland.
In Scotland, but where in Scotland? It's from the
Islay region. It's an island on the western side of Scotland. Isley.
Have you
Islay.
been there and met Pete?
Met Pete? I didn't get dressed up for nothing. No, I've not. I
hear he's a great guy.
I want to go to Scotland and do one of those whiskey tours. I think that would be really cool.
Would you remember it? That's the question. Okay. So, Islay.
Isley.
EY. Okay. Okay. I'm looking it up. I'm taking notes. This is powerful stuff. Go, James. What question would you have for Dr. Zoellner, sir?
Dr. Z, what's your best advice for a business owner or employee who does phone sales?
An owner or an employee? That's kind of a wide range.
All right, do employee.
I guess the thing about it is that if I'm working at a store and I'm selling phones, I guess what I would want to do is
I think he means like making outbound phone calls for sales.
Yes.
You're making outbound. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Man, you gotta smile and dial. You gotta smile and dial.
Call them all till they cry, buy, or die, baby.
And I tell you what's one of the things that I figured out is that your attitude can come through your voice.
Yeah.
And honey gets a lot more.
Yep.
Oh, there it is.
Hi there. How's your roof today? Has your roof been damaged? Do you have a shingle out of place?
I think I do have a shingle out of place. Who is this?
Would you like a free estimate?
Is this? I think I want to buy this. What is this?
I tell you what, roofers are us. We could swing by that house and
I don't know who
check
you
it
are,
out.
but can I give you my credit card number? Is that okay?
Oh my God, I want to pay right now.
I mean, and
Take my money.
then I'll give you an offer that you can't refuse.
That's fine. If you just want to move in, that's fine.
I mean, let's get that roof tip top shape.
Let me give you the keys to my car. Let me just give you my car. Is that okay?
Let's
This
get,
is so
let's get
sexy.
it. Let's get it going
You
on.
want me to turn my will over to you? Is that what you want? That's fine. I love your attitude.
I think outbound calls, and you can't take it too personal because you're going to get the slam, and and whether it's a hot lead or not a lead, I mean, you could be doing cold calling, and that's tough. But you know what? You're going to have a 1%, 2%, 3% success rate, and that's not a big success rate. If you have a hot lead, in other words, someone called up and said, "Hey, I'm interested in your roof because I like a nice roof." And I see you got a special on roofing this month. So would you please give me a call? Now, that was a
good.
little bit different pickup, but still, I think the bottom line is that honey catches more flies than vinegar.
That was way better than any of Stronson's questions.
Now, okay,
Thank
these
you,
are
James.
5 final questions. 5 final questions
Oh,
coming in hot. Here we go. Coming in hot. 5 final questions. One is with today's employees, it's a little different. You know, I've been self-employed since like 1998-ish. There was a time, it was crazy, when I would have a staff of people when I was building DJConnection.com, and I'm not kidding. We would have an entire week, Z, that would go by.
Yeah.
And if we had like a staff of, let's say, 20 people,
Mhm.
maybe one would call in sick. That was crazy. That was called the 90s. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then around 2000-ish, you'd see like 2 of the 20 would call in sick, about 10% a week.
Yeah.
Then you moved into this thing called 2010-ish. Then it was like 5 out of 20 are faking an injury, and they came up with this new term called paid personal day, or it's a personal day, or I'm going through something. It's my birthday.
Mental health day.
Mental health day. There's a holiday, Columbus Day, big deal, Presidential Day, observing my mourning over the loss of who just got elected, that kind of thing. Then COVID happened. Now people are going, about half the people, half the time are going, yeah, I don't feel well. I want to be safe. Want to get tested. So this employee wants to know that this particular listener wants to know, how do you manage holding employees accountable for showing up to work?
You fire them if they don't.
Yep, there you go.
Jack Welch says in his book, a good public hanging does a company good every now and then. And so, you put up with it as much as you're going to put up with it. That's the question I get asked a lot.
Favorite.
When do you know you're going to fire somebody? And I'm like,
when do you know you're going to fire somebody?
When you've had it up to here and you don't want no more BS out of them, It's
kind of like, when do you know you need to pull over when you're driving to go to the bathroom?
That's why you're.
Is it an 8? Is it an 8? Are we at an 8 right now? Should I pull over? No, Dad, it's at a 4. Okay, we're going to drive all the way to Branson until we pull over.
So you always want to be hiring, because I tell you what, employees will always do what's best for them.
Yep.
They'll always do it.
And you can't blame them for that. I mean, like, they are going to.
You go, I've treated you so well. I gave you a Christmas bonus. I gave you a turkey at Thanksgiving. I let you have a mental health day because Steve Currington ran over your foot with the Lambo.
Yep. Should have been out of the way.
Now, I'll be real with you. I'll be very vague about this situation. The past 7 days, I had to explain to a very long-term employee that they cannot, and these are controversial rules. I had to say, hey, you can't bring an exotic animal with you to work.
Yeah.
And you can't sleep with people that you just met who we just hired at work. Like, our office is not a dating service. And they're going,
well, that seems unfair.
Well, I'm not kidding. The reaction was, is that in the handbook?
Yeah.
And that's the sort of jackassery.
Now it is.
You know what I'm saying, though? Yeah. That's the sort of jackassery. So if you're an entrepreneur, you can relate to these stories. If you can't, I get it. Okay, final 3 questions.
Hold on.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Where do you draw the line on exotic? I mean, can I bring like my goldfish to work? Is that exotic?
Any animals at all, but let alone an exotic animal that terrifies the customers is not the look.
What about an exotic dancer?
Stop.
Okay.
You were very concise. You said that no exotic animals.
It would terrify you if you saw it.
Snarky.
And the response I had was, I didn't know it was in the handbook. I didn't know it was
a llama. A llama? Is that exotic?
Now, final 3 questions.
Okay.
We've got 60 seconds. 3 questions. I'm going to come in hot here. Is advice you'd give to your 20-year-old self? What say you, Dr. Z?
Keep going. You're doing awesome.
Okay, awesome. Next question. Do you use credit lines for your businesses? Do you believe in using credit lines to finance and or start your companies?
Yes.
Okay, final question is, when you're doing a partnership, do you believe that there should be 2 equal parts or a 51-49? What are your rules for partnership?
51-49. You have to have always a boss. Always a boss.
Dr. Z, final 30 seconds. You can say anything you want, any advice. People are taking notes, sir.
Well, I'm still curious about this exotic animal thing. I think is it
I need to know where the line is too.
Right. Is a coyote? Is that it? Exotic?
Should be acceptable. But I understand the
follow your dreams. Listen to the Thrivetime show. Love your country. Love your family. Love God. Love yourself. So many people out there are not loving themselves. And listen, if you're a man, be a father. If you're a woman, be a mother. Find people that need you and help them out.
Here we go. We're going to end this show with a boom. Here we go, because boom stands for big, overwhelming, optimistic momentum, and that is what you need to succeed. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Boom.
Hi, my name is Tim Johnson. I'm the owner of Tuscaloosa Ophthalmology, as well as Southern Eye Consultants, 2 ophthalmology practices in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and I'm a client of Clay Clark. He asked me to answer a couple questions. The first question was, how did I hear about Clay Clark? I am a big fan of business podcasts, and his podcast popped up as a recommended listening, so I started listening to the podcast. I was a little suspicious or skeptical because I thought there was going to be like an upcharge or an upsell, but the idea of the month-to-month canceling really appealed to me. And I kept waiting for the shoe to drop and for the upsell or for the scam to come in, but it never did. It's very legitimate. Since working with Clay, I've gotten a much firmer grasp on how business works, Even in medicine, business is business. I've learned a lot about marketing, especially how Google reviews work and how important that is. And that's very important even in medicine. At least once a week, if not every day, I get a new patient because somebody Googled eye doctor in Tuscaloosa or ophthalmologist in Tuscaloosa. And you'd be amazed how many patients just look for an eye doctor that way. And so he's really changed our business. Our business has grown a lot, maybe 15 to 20% this year. And so we're really grateful for the things he's done for our business. And the last question was, when did I perfect the laugh? I would say that you can never perfect the laugh. You just keep working at it, and just keeps getting better and better each day. But you got to keep working at it. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Dr. Mark Moore. I'm a pediatric dentist. Through our new digital marketing plan, we have seen a marked increase in the number of new patients that we're seeing every month, year over year. One month, for example, we went from 110 new patients the previous year to over 180 new patients in the same month. And overall, our average is running about 40 to 42% increase month over month, year over year. The group of people required to implement our new digital marketing plan is immense, starting with a business coach, videographers, photographers, web designers. Back when I graduated dental school in 1985, nobody advertised. The only marketing that was ethically allowed in everybody's eyes was mouth-to-mouth marketing. By choosing to use the services, you're choosing to use a proven turnkey marketing and coaching system that will grow your practice and get you the results that you are looking for. I went to the University of Oklahoma College of Dentistry, graduated in 1983, and then I did my pediatric dental residency at Baylor College of Dentistry from 1983 to 1985. I established my practice here in Tulsa in 1985.
I started a business because I couldn't work for anyone else. I do things my way. I do what I think is in the best interest of the patient. I don't answer to insurance companies. I don't answer to large corporate organizations. I answer to my patient, and that's it. My thought when I opened my clinic was I can do this all myself. I don't need additional outside help in many ways. I went to medical school. I can figure this out. But it was a very, very steep learning curve. Within the first 6 months of opening my clinic, I had a $63,000 embezzlement. I lost multiple employees. Clay helped us weather the storm of some of the things that are just a lot of people experience, especially in the medical world. He was instrumental in helping with the specific written business plan. He's been instrumental in hiring good quality employees, using the processes that he outlines for getting in good talent, which is extremely difficult. He helped me in securing the business loans. He helped me with web development and search engine optimization. We've been able to really keep a steady stream of clients coming in because they found us on the web. With everything that I encountered, everything that I experienced, I quickly learned it is worth every penny to have someone in your team that can walk you through and even avoid some of the pitfalls that are almost invariable in starting your own business. I'm Dr. Chad Edwards, and I own Revolution Health and Wellness Clinic.
Hi, my name is Tim Johnson. I'm the owner of Tuscaloosa Ophthalmology as well as Southern Eye Consultants, two ophthalmology practices in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and I'm a client of Clay Clark. He asked me to answer a couple questions. The first question was, how did I hear about Clay Clark? I am a big fan of business podcasts, and his podcast popped up as a recommended listening, so I started listening to the podcast. I was a little suspicious or skeptical because I thought there was going to be like an upcharge or an upsell, but the idea of the month-to-month canceling really appealed to me, and I kept waiting for the shoe to drop and for the upsell or for the scam to come in, but it never did. It's very legitimate. Since working with Clay, I've gotten a much firmer grasp on how business works. Even in medicine, business is business. I've learned a lot about marketing, especially how Google reviews work and how important that is. And that's very important even in medicine. At least once a week, if not every day, I get a new patient because somebody Googled eye doctor in Tuscaloosa or ophthalmologist in Tuscaloosa. And you'd be amazed how many patients just look for an eye doctor that way. And so he's really changed our business. Our business has grown a lot, maybe 15 to 20% this year. And so we're really grateful for the things he's done for our business. And the last question was, when did I perfect the laugh? I would say that you can never perfect the laugh. You just keep working at it, and just keeps getting better and better each day. But you got to keep working at it.
Oh, look at this cute baby. What a great baby. Quality baby. That's a healthy baby right there. Okay. Thrive Nation, on today's show, I'm very excited for you to hear this success story about this wonderful couple that, Sean, I would describe them as they are killing the game in the most nonviolent way possible. They're killing the game.
Yeah.
In the most nonviolent way possible. They are blowing up in a good way. Folks, I'm telling you, these folks are really growing their business. And what makes them great is they're really kind, hardworking, diligent people, and we're honored to serve them. We've got Jenny and Mike here joining us. Jenny and Mike, welcome to the Thrivetime Show. How are you two?
Hi, thank you. Good. We're doing well.
Okay, now I'll start with you, Jenny, because frankly, Sean likes you more. No, I'm just kidding. So, let's start with you. So, how did you first discover us and the business coaching that we provide?
So I was listening to different podcasts about business. I was starting up our business. And so you were the first one to pop up on our podcast on Apple. I think Apple is what I was on. And so I started listening to you. I got on your website, and I was just a little girl starting a business. And I said, I'm going to ask this guy to be my coach. And I don't think I'm going to get a shot, but sure enough, within a week, you called me.
Now, who is this cute child here? But Micah, who is this cute kid here?
It's Lennon Rose. She is about to be 10 months old.
I hate to do this to you, but can you kind of hold up the baby to the camera a little bit? This is probably, look at this cute baby. What a great baby. Quality baby. That's a healthy baby. Okay. So Mike, can you tell us what's the name of your website there? I think people want to look you up and verify you're real people that don't just happen to have a cute baby.
Yeah. Our website is newconcept.healthcare.
Newconcept.healthcare. So newconcept.healthcare. I'm going to pull it up right now, folks, so we can all verify that they're not just a couple who's taking advantage of the cute baby they have to get a podcast here. This is a real couple. Okay, so I'm pulling it up here. So this is the website. It's newconcept.healthcare. And can you tell our listeners, what services do you guys provide at newconcept.healthcare?
So we offer more functional medicine. So we offer IV therapies. We offer hormone replacement therapies. We also do acute care. We do pretty much everything, but we're very much alternative. So we believe in medical freedom, and that's what we offer.
And you guys, you reached out. Do you remember that initial consultation there? Do you remember, Mike, that initial consultation? Do you remember what that was like?
Yeah, it was actually pretty overwhelming that we were starting this business with absolutely nothing, and we had the opportunity to work with Thrivetime Show.
Well, you know, the one thing I always try to do is, you know, my father, great guy, may he rest in peace. He worked his tail off like so many people do, and there was no real economic result that was achieved from it. There wasn't any, you know, he had the college degree. He's working 2 jobs. I remember he's late 30s. He's working at Domino's, delivering pizzas, working at Quick Trip. He worked at furniture stores. And I always try to look at every new client we have as though I'm talking to my dad, you know, because like, what would my dad, you know, what could he have learned at the age of 37 that could have changed the financial trajectory of his life? You know, and I try to look at it that way. And so you guys, I paired you up with Sean. You've been working with Sean, I believe, Sean, since October of 2020. Is that correct, Sean?
I think that's when they started their business. It wasn't until about April of 2021 when we actually got going.
So April of 2021. And at that point, from that point, to now, Sean, how much of growth have you guys achieved from 2021 to now? Do you know that number?
Yeah, I mean, we're sitting at 2023 revenues were 821,000, and they're in October of 2020. Like they only had a few months, but they made about 95,000 by the end of 2020, and then we grew significantly that first year to about 375% to 588,000. And we continued to grow there ever since, all the way up to where we're getting close to the $1 million mark at this point here, just like 3 years in.
Jenny, how would you describe the growth? Would you say you've doubled? Are you 5 times larger? How would you describe that?
Oh no, I definitely feel the growth. There's been some growing pains, and you guys have helped us through that too. So it's been amazing. It's been amazing to help people, because that's what I'm passionate about. And you guys have really helped us expand and tell people what we're about.
So step one here, we do this with all the clients. I'm going to walk people through the steps. We really needed to nail down your branding. And that's a big thing, because, branding is to humans what clothing is. So as an example, you wake up today, folks, if you run around and you're streaking through life, you're probably not going to get a lot of conversations started. So we all have to be intentional about, what are we going to wear? Are we going to wear a tie? Are we going to wear a polo? Are we going to do makeup? Are we not? So people, they judge us based on our appearance. And so we really had to get a website built. We had to optimize the online brand. Jenny, we do it all included for our clients, so we don't refer you to another vendor. We do it all. Can you talk about the impact that has made on the business?
Oh, for sure. Just the website itself, it looks so great. We would have never been able to make it look that great. The way y'all optimize everything and keep us, with Google, where people search us and that we're the first people that come up. And that's actually how we've established our business and started offering some of the things that we offer, is because of the tags that we have. I didn't originally start off as doing IV therapy, but due to people Googling, healthcare functional medicine, I had 3 phone calls in a week that said, "Hey, do you offer IV therapy?" And it was very interesting. And I was like, well, no, but I can. And so it was because of you guys that kind of snowballed and took effect. So yeah, there's a lot that you guys have done for us.
Now, Sean, we're working with these wonderful clients here. I'll pick on Mike here. You always say great things about Mike and Jenny. What makes them good to work with? Because I want to make sure for anybody out there, if you go to thrivetimeshow.com, I consistently offer a free 13-point assessment. I've been doing that since 2005. I do it without reservation. There's no obligation, but there's usually about 1 to 2 knuckleheads a week that will fill out the form, and probably 20 really great people that fill out the form. And then we only take on 160 clients. And so I don't want anyone to waste their time. What makes Mike so great to work with?
Well, Clay, I mean, when I first started coaching, you taught me about these 2 types of business owners. There's the happy hopers out there, and then there's the diligent doers. And I think these guys are a great example of the diligent doer. They continually apply effort to work on their business, not just in their business. They consistently show up to their meetings. They track all of the critical numbers of their business, and they're aware of what's going on with all of their employees. They're paying attention to all the little things going on. They're keeping all the plates spinning, and they ask great questions. They actually really do make a great effort consistently to apply our systems and help their business grow. And it's been working.
So step one, we get the branding nailed down. That's the website, the print pieces, the logos, the business cards. But then you have to develop that online reputation. Now that could be a tough thing to do, Jenny. And this isn't a backhanded compliment. I'm just saying, but for people that are humble and very kind, of which I would put Jenny in that category, sometimes asking for reviews is more difficult because you almost feel like you're self-promoting. I've never had this conversation with you, but has that been difficult for you to ask people to give you video reviews and Google reviews after you provided the service, or was that easy for you to do?
It's not easy. It still isn't easy.
Okay.
It is. It's difficult because you feel like you're begging for something, even though you did the right thing.
Yeah.
So it's difficult for me. It's just my personality type, but we get it done anyways.
I'll find this for the diligent, kind customers we work with. It's very difficult sometimes to ask for those objective reviews from real customers. And I find that from my clients I've worked with that are sort of like self-described barbarians. I had a guy years ago I worked with. I won't mention his name or his industry, but I'll just say he's obsessed with physical fitness. And he told me, he says, I'm kind of a business barbarian. You tell me what to do and I will slay the dragons. And I'm like, okay, you need to get Google reviews from everybody you've ever, worked with. And he's like, oh, I'm on it. And this guy's just shamelessly calling through his phone and just lighting people up going, give me a review. Come on, give me a review. Why will you not give me a? I'm like, go ahead, dial it down a little bit. So again, you guys are humble, diligent doers. You're the ideal person here. So I appreciate you sharing that. The next thing we had to do is we had to create a no-brainer. Now, a no-brainer is an offer so good, so amazing that people simply cannot say no to it. Now, I won't mention the name of the company, but I worked years ago and I still work with this company. They're a medical company. They're doing well now. And for whatever reason, they put on their website, first initial consult, $497. And he went to one of these like borderline spiritual motivational conference things where Jesus isn't described, but they did kind of talk about metaphysical alignment and getting your woo-saw, getting in your groove, alignment, no friction. and he came back and he's like, Clay, I believe in the 7th number of completion. I go, I agree. He says 4 is the number that's urgent. I'm like, okay. And I'm going, what? He's like, I don't want tire kickers. So I'm going to do $497 for my first consult. That way I don't deal with the tire kickers. And I'm like, Doc, I love you so much. You're a doctor. I love it. You don't have any customers though. That's why you came to me. You don't have any customers. So why don't you do a first free consult? He's like, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to kick out Sean, the tire kicker. So I'm sure you've never seen this with a client.
Oh, never.
And so now what makes it worse is his wife also went to the Metaphysical Alignment Motivational Jackassery Festival. And she was like, 497 is the number. I had a dream about it. I'm like, yeah, you probably talked about it all weekend. You probably are subconsciously thinking about it. You're probably creating a neural pathway related to 497. And so anyway, after about a year, he finally says, okay, I came to your conference and I saw a person that did the first consult for $1. I'm going to go with that. And now his business is blowing up. Could you talk about your no-brainer, your first consult for $1? How has that helped you having that no-brainer offer?
Yeah, so it gets people in. And so when we get people in, we know that we're doing a good job and we know that we're trustworthy and our healthcare is superior to most. So just getting people in for that $1, because a lot of people are, they're nervous about going to the doctor or they don't trust healthcare system. And so they know that they can come in, they're only going to spend $1. They can figure out whether or not they trust us, figure out whether or not we're the place for them. And we know 100% of the time we will be. So it's really helped us just get people in and get people to trust us more.
Now, once somebody fills out the form, folks, again, there's a linear pathway here. I'm trying to give you a visual here. So you establish your revenue goals. You figure out your numbers to break even. You figure out how many hours a week you're willing to work. Even though you have a cute baby, you got to figure out how you're going to get it done. Step number 4 is you define your unique value proposition. What makes you unique? That's something you and Sean have worked on together. You improve your branding. Now you're coming in contact with humans. Business is a contact sport. I love this part. That's when you start marketing. You launch your marketing. You have your online ads. You optimize your website. You begin to come up top in the search results. You start to get leads. Do you remember what it was like, Jenny, when you first got your first online lead? Do you remember the first one where you're like, it's working? Did you remember that moment?
Yeah, it was almost like we did celebrate because it finally had happened. And then as soon as the first one came in, the second one came in. And like I said, it was almost a growing pain experience. We had so many leads so fast. So it was great. And we still celebrate every lead that we get.
Now, Mike, the next step is you have to make sales scripts. We recommend to every client that the calls are recorded for quality assurance. You have a sales script. The calls are recorded for quality assurance. You have a one sheet that tracks your pricing. You have pre-written emails. You begin tracking. Sean's always bragging about you guys with tracking. Mike, how has it helped to have tracking in place where you can see, how does that help you?
Well, it's really a good benefit because, at the end of the week, you know what your income was, you know what your leads was. So wherever we're lacking in, we can quickly adjust and make that adjustment to make it work for the next week.
Now, if you don't have tracking, folks, this is a true story. It's kind of a sad story, so I'll speak in generality, Sean. I talked to a guy the other day, this share a terrible story. Longtime client, and he got motivated. He set up a trade show. He didn't tell me he's doing that. It's fine. You don't have to tell me, but he set up a trade show. I think he was going to try to surprise me with the fruit of the trade show. So he set up the trade show, and he gets on the call. His energy's kind of off, and I'm like, "Are you okay?" "Yeah, dude, fine." What's wrong? I don't know. I'm like, your lead sheet, we're getting, 10 to 15 leads a week. It's very consistent. Revenue looks good. He's like, yeah, I'm in a tight spot. Well, you're in a tight spot. Why are you in a tight spot? He says, I did a trade show. You did a trade show? Yeah, I got roped into 4. I did a thing where you get the billboard, you get the trade show, you get the magazine ad. And I did the trade show and we got no leads. And I go, what kind of trade show did you do? And he says, well, I went to the whatever trade show. And Sean, what I find is that there's the emotional excitement about being on the billboard, being on the magazine cover, and he got called by one of these kind of I call it a scamockery or jackassery.
Yeah.
They call you and they go, boop, 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 boop. Hey, is this Sean?
Yeah, this is Sean.
Sean, yeah, we noticed that you have an incredible healthcare company, and we want to honor you by giving you the yada yada of the region award. It's the yada yada. It's a regional, it's a prestigious award. We'd like to meet with you. Can we meet with you?
Yeah.
So now I meet here. Now, Sean, again, we're on the phone, but I still like the phone voice here. So now Sean, so because we're so honored, we're inviting you to a plated dinner to honor your honor, your honoredness, your greatness, your humbleness. And it's going to be $1,000 a plate, for you and your wife. And did you want 4 seats or 8? Because most people do 8.
Oh, I guess just 4.
4, and that does include a glossy magazine feature in we'll just call it like Missouri local top doctor jackassery. It's a great magazine.
Oh.
And you're also on you'll be on a billboard. We've teamed up with the billboard. It rotates through. You're going to see your face. Oh, hey, don't get too excited. And just because we're honored, we're not, again, we're just honored. Now, did you want to do the 4 tickets, sir?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, the way it works is it's going to be 4 payments of $4,000 for a total of $16,000. And that's, no, I'm serious. And now they're in the trade shows and he's going to the trade show and there ain't nobody there. There is nobody there. To be technical. Nobody was at this trade show. I mean, everybody was not at the trade show. No, he's got photos of like him and his wife and his team in an empty booth, and he's got a magazine and no leads are coming. And he was so excited to tell me. I'm sure you've never encountered this sort of thing, Virginia. Have you, Jenny, have you ever seen a situation where that sort of shamockery advertising has been entered into your world in some capacity?
I've been there. I've been exactly what you're talking about. And I've set up everything and paid employees. And I felt like I was nothing more than a free pin show. The only people that were there were people looking for free pins.
Oh, I know. And it feels terrible. And then you kind of have to sell it to yourself all day. But, guys, we're getting our name out there. Sean, can you pass the megaphone back there? Right behind you. Yeah, because I tell people, if you want to get your name out there, what you do is you just run outside and say, all right, come visit New Concept Healthcare. And people go, why are you yelling at me? I'm trying to shop for my groceries. New Concept Healthcare. My name out there. Getting the like, is this effective? Of course it's effective. I'm getting my name out there. And then that leads to buying Frisbees, branded Frisbees, koozies. You know what I'm saying? Branded pins.
Yes.
And all of a sudden you buy these things. Sean, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now we have to do, and I'm going to show you, this is kind of the back end of one of my companies called Elephant in the Room. And you do a search for eitrlounge.com. And then you go to /staff. I'm not going to give you the password, folks, but you log in. And these are all the systems needed to run the haircut chain. Now, one thing I thought was very interesting is Truth Social, President Trump's social media platform. The other day, they were disclosing, Newsweek was disclosing the revenue of it.
Oh,
and I just want people to know this because I think, I just full disclosure, I'm a very conservative person, but I just want people to see this. This is just something to look at. Truth Social, they declared in their filing that they did $3.3 million of revenue and had $49 million of losses, which, by the way, that's very normal for a tech startup company. And their users are going up. And they're having there's like a reaction in the marketplace. People are actually putting more money in. They're investing. The stock price is going up. But I don't know anybody that I've met in my life. But I've never been a client that can afford to bring in 3.3 million and lose 49 million. So like for my haircut chain, we have 5 locations. We bring in more than 3.3 million. And this just in, we don't spend 49 million, So we have to, we call it a lean startup. You got to keep that thing lean. And so when you go to eitrlounge.com/staff, every document needed to manage the business is here. So the opening checklist for the manager, you click here, Boom. This is what the manager has to do to start the day. Everything is documented. And that's kind of where we're at right now with Jenny and Mike's business. We're in the process of building all those checklists.
Yeah.
Sean, what kind of checklists have you built so far?
Oh man, we have a whole page. Their staff page is pretty built out. We're really getting there. I think more right now it's getting, correct me if I'm wrong, we need some managers in there so we can free you guys up from the business. And so we have a lot of the worker level systems. We're just now working on more of how do we get those manager level systems and find those high quality managers.
Now let me give Jenny a little mentor moment here. This will be helpful for you. I'm going to hop on a flight in about 2.5 hours, 3 hours to go to Denver. All right. And I got to go to Denver to meet with the founder of oxyfresh.com. This is a brand we've worked with and helped them to grow to 550 locations now. 550 locations. Okay. And if you type in carpet cleaning quotes, we're the world's highest rated and most reviewed company in the world. Okay. 274,000 reviews. We've been holding this idea in our mind for 15 consecutive years. I've been working on this, Sean, before I met you. We just were grinding, okay?
Yeah.
And the biggest challenge that the locations have is managers, finding good manager. And I tell people this, and it never goes over well, but hopefully eventually it will. I'll keep refining the idea. The kind of person that enjoys conflict, but also likes people is a good manager. Let me try that again. The kind of person that enjoys conflict, but also likes people is a good manager. And I have found it's not so much trainable as it's findable. So as an example, where we're getting ready to head out to Denver, Sean, you know my personality type, and you know that I have to pack all this stuff to get ready to go. You saw my suitcase out there?
Yep.
How many times do you think I've followed up with the people involved in the trip so far before leaving?
Oh man, it's probably on your to-do list and you've checked it off like probably at least 5 times today, I would think.
And what kind of things do you think I might have put on my checklist to travel to Denver?
First off, just making sure that the timing is working, making sure that you have all the stuff that you need, making sure that you have double of the stuff that you need in case something gets broken. Making sure that the people who are there know you're coming and when you're going to be there and what to expect from you.
What do you think I'm checking a bag?
Oh yeah, you're probably not checking a bag.
There it
would
is.
Get lost.
All right.
No.
And you think I'm catching a flight a lot earlier than I need to be there?
Way earlier.
Yeah, if I'm having a meeting tomorrow, which I am, I'm leaving today at 12:30.
Yeah.
So this is, but that's the sort of paranoia that makes management possible. So I have literally called. I said, "All right, I'm getting on the 12:30 flight. We're meeting tomorrow. I should be in by like 4 o'clock Denver time. Our meeting's tomorrow. If that flight gets delayed and the next one gets delayed and the next one, I'll still be there. I've got backup phone chargers. I have a rule. Everybody going with me. You cannot check a bag. I want to check a bag. Can't check a bag. Why? Because it could get lost. This is real. I'm not. I am completely paranoid, and that is the paranoia is what makes the businesses run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I ask my staff every day, guys, elephant in the room. Did you guys get a review? And they say, well, yeah, we got a review. You asked me 10 minutes ago. Okay, well, I'll talk to you in 4 minutes. You heard me say that. I'll say, I'll talk to you in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'll do it. And it's a follow-up because I have to make sure that the checklists are being followed. The reviews are being followed. We're a licensed business. People don't know that. Hair care, you're licensed by the state. So we have certain cleanliness standards. We could have random people from the state show up. So we got checklists. And I follow up. And it doesn't bother me to follow up with the same adult who's in their 40s 6 times within a 50-minute span of time. It doesn't bother me. But most people, that bothers them.
Yeah.
And so have you found that, Jenny, that a lot of people don't like to follow up? Have you found that, or is that just something unique to me?
I found that they don't like to follow up. No, people don't like to follow up. It's almost like an awkward communication thing that people try to avoid. Yeah. And it's not necessarily that you're being mean or any type of way, but I feel like that's probably the way that we feel when we continuously follow up, like we're having to step on people's toes, but really we're not. We're just getting the job
My
done.
mentorship moment for you is it's probably the same feeling you have when you ask for reviews.
Yeah.
It's probably the same. So, and I'm just saying, and if you, Mike, did you ever play football or a sport of some kind?
Yeah, I used to play soccer.
Okay, soccer. So like when what position did you play?
Goalkeeper.
Goalkeeper. Okay. So this is a great example. I didn't know you were a goalkeeper, but when you're a goalkeeper and someone's kicking that ball at you fast, I mean, just the ball's coming in there. I mean, people can really kick a soccer ball fast. Yeah. There are certain people that want to be a goalkeeper, but they kind of avoid the ball. They try to hide from it. They flinch. You know what I'm talking about? But you actually would lunge into it. Am I correct?
Right.
I mean, you're aggressive, right? I mean, you're like, for some reason you enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
I enjoy getting 100-mile-an-hour fastball.
But did you ever see somebody who tried to be a goalie? I'm not looking for a name here, but somebody who would kind of hide from the ball.
Yeah.
This is the same thing for management. Like as a manager, you have to sort of seek out conflict, but like people. So I'll say things like, okay, hey, it's 8:00. I need to make sure you put out the flags in front of the elephant in the room store today, Mr. Manager. Put out the flags that draw the attention by the road. Put out the flags. And I'm going to call you in 10 minutes to follow up. Call them in 10 minutes. Are the flags up? Can you send me a picture? They're like, do you not trust me? Absolutely not. I trust nobody. Go ahead and send them. And then I'll call them back 30 minutes later. Hey, did you get Google reviews? Yeah, we got one Google review. You know, the quote is 10. Yeah, I'll call you back in 2 minutes. You know, call them back. Hey, did you get a review? It's been 2 minutes. I know. Oh, hey, I'll tell you what. I'll call you back in an hour. And my whole day is just following up. And then over time, the culture happens where people go, he's going to follow up. And now the people that like the follow-up like to work there, and it's become a great thing. And that's where we're kind of at right now, I think, as we're getting into the follow-up phase. Do you have call recording in place there, Mike? Do you have the call recording for quality assurance installed yet?
Yes, we do.
And are you learning some things?
Yes. It is very hard to train people on recording scripts.
Yeah. Okay, that's something we got to do. Now we're just going through the workflow. And then the wowing the customers. What Sean is saying is that your patients are consistently wowed. Now, I don't know if that's because Sean is your hype man or if that's a real thing, but it seems like people are actually wowing. They're being wowed right now. People, when they come in, if you look at the workflow, they buy something right here, we have to wow them. You've got to create that wow moment. And again, if you want to download this diagram, folks, just go to thrivetimeshow.com/millionaire, thrivetimeshow.com/millionaire. You can download it from my newest book called A Millionaire's Guide to Becoming Sustainably Rich. You got to create that wow moment. I mean, amidst the checklists and the tracking, at some point here, you've got to create a moment that wows people where they go, wow. So I'm trying to get everybody's creative juices flowing here. So if you have a restaurant, I work with a restaurant in Florida right now, a great restaurant. They say, welcome in. Is it your first time? They say, yeah, it's my first time. Oh, well, hey, you get free appetizers on us today and one free adult beverage. Welcome in. And that every time it's that, wow. And then when you come back later and ask for a review or, hey, what entree do you want? Guess what? People become generous with how they buy. Another example, I work with an auto auction. The auto auction says your first time that you buy from the auto auction, you only have to pay $1 more than the actual cost of the vehicle just to wow people, to get that going. I happen to work with a carpet cleaning business. And what they do is they say, hey, the first time we clean your carpet, we'll beat any competitor's price, and it will be at least half off of our normal price. And they go, okay, great. You got to have that wow moment. What are you guys doing, Jenny, to wow your customers there?
Well, there are things that we do. We will oftentimes give samples of certain things because we know they work. We have a lot of supplement sales that we do. Again, the dollar consult is a wow moment because we will spend some, 10 to 15 minutes explaining how we're different. And I feel like they're wowed because of that. Also, our services are so much different. We spend time in the room with our patients. We listen to them. They're not just a number. And a lot of times people have never experienced that. So there's a lot of wow moments, I think, for all of our patients.
Now, I understand that 59% of your customers are now from word of mouth. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah, well, and with the customer acquisitions cost too, I've heard you say this before, Clay, that if you're advertising and you're doing a good job wowing at the same time, they compound each other, and you'll end up having 2 to 3 word of mouth referrals from those patients that are wowed for every one lead you have from advertising. We measured and tracked that they had this last year, for every $1 they spent on advertising, they were able to bring back in $4.61. So that's a 461% return on their marketing investment.
It's incredible stuff. And the great news is, as we build these systems, if you guys ever wanted to franchise or license or open up multiple locations, if done properly, you should be able to scale it. It should be very repeatable, very duplicatable. Other things you guys have done, you've implemented a database to keep track of your customers. You're gathering objective video reviews. You guys are really checking all the boxes. I'd like for you, if you can, Jenny, here, to give a word of encouragement for any of our listeners out there that are a little bit on the fence right now, and they're going, I have thought about scheduling a free consultation, but I don't know. I hear it's $1,700 a month, and can you maybe explain your thoughts, what you would say to anybody who's a friend of yours or family that asks you about the value about the business consulting?
Oh, well, I would say that the $1,700 a month is an excuse not to have someone to mentor you. It's kind of like being in a gym when you need a trainer. We're not always perfect, and business owning is not easy, and you need a mentor. I've never missed the $1,700 a month, even when I was only 6 months in when we started with you guys. I've never even considered it a loss. It was scary at first to make that, but that wasn't an excuse. I knew I needed someone to guide me through this, and you guys have guided us through this, through the entire thing, through employees, through income, through spending, through all of it. And we come through so many problems. There are a lot of problems that are established when you have a business. I mean, you become very overwhelmed very fast, and you need somebody that you can call who's successful, who's been there, that says, you're not crazy. This happens to all of us. Here's what you do about it. It's been the best decision that we've made.
Final question I have here for you, as far as having a one-stop shop. Years ago, I hired a business consultant who was great. And he would say things like, and I'm not ripping him, I'm just telling you what would happen. He would say, Clay, you got to work on your business and not in it. I'm going, that's true. He goes, you got to delegate to elevate. That's true. Clay, your website is not optimized. And I'm going, this is great. Fresh perspective. I go, Bruce, could you help me optimize? No, I don't optimize. Could you help me work on it? No. Could you help me make a checklist? No. Do you help me with the print pieces that I need to make? No. Can you make a video? No. Do you help me with my online ads? No. Clay, and he was kind of he's an Northeastern American guy. And he used to say, Clay, baby, let me tell you what. I don't make print pieces. What am I, a print piece guy? I'm not a web guy. We know what I am. I'm a work on the business guy. You got to find a good web guy. So every meeting we would have would result in me having to find another vendor to pay another $8,000 to build the website, $4,000 to make the video, $5,000 to do. So every time he would give a recommendation, it would lead to another cost. Could you maybe explain the value of having a flat monthly fee?
Yeah, I don't have to ever worry about it. Like, I know if I need the website updated, it's a text away. I know if I'm having trouble with an employee, it's a text away. I know if I need financial advice, it's a text away. And again, we meet every single week, and all our questions are answered, and we're held accountable to what we need to be held accountable for. So it really works for us.
Jenny and Mike, thank you guys for your time so much. I really do value your time. I appreciate you guys being here today. And on part 2 of today's show, we're going to tee up another success story because we want people to know it is possible, despite the financial jackassery plaguing our nation right now. It is possible to become successful, and you guys are a living example of it. Thank you guys for bringing your baby on the show. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Thank you.
Hey, this is Dr. Jay Schroeder from Healthworks Chiropractic here in Franklin, just outside of Nashville, and just wanted to record kind of my experience with Thrive over the last 16 months. I think it's been almost 18 months with these guys. They have really helped me turn my clinics around. I came to Thrive in February of 17. I could say 16 months later, I don't know where we would have been without these guys, but I know where we're at now. We've got systems in place that make the practices no longer reliant on me being there for them to be successful. That was a huge goal of mine when I first talked to them. We're working towards our financial goals. We'll be there probably within 6 months. And my stress level has gone down. I'll be going on vacation next week, not worrying a bit about what's happening with my 2 practices, because I know the systems that we put in place is going to make them run as if I was there. So I don't know what else to say, but thank you guys. I look forward to my weekly coaching calls, and it's always something that I get out of those that I can plug in or talk to an employee. And it's just the 2%. You know, they talk about 2% all the time. You got to improve by 2%. You can't do it all at once. But that 2% over the last 16 to 18 months has made a huge difference for my life, my family, our practices, and again, just the stress level that we were at compared to now has been life-changing. So thanks, guys. Really appreciate all you do, and look forward to the next 16 to 18 months and beyond. Thanks. Hey, I just wanted to take a minute to talk about Thrive 15 and what they've done for me. My experience with them started with a weekend seminar. I was just kind of feeling stuck and just needed something to light my creative juices. And a friend of mine recommended I go check them out, and I did. And certainly nothing short of amazing, that weekend seminar as far as what it did for me. But based on that, I wanted to learn more about what they could do to help me, and there's no doubt, without their help, I don't know if I would have got where I want to go, and even to the point where I am now. If you are someone who's looking to start a business or expand your current business, I highly recommend you give these guys a look, as they will at least give you an idea of what it's going to take to get you from where you are now to where you want to go in the future. I'm a guy with big vision, and I just didn't quite know how to get from point A to point B, and they're certainly helping me get to that point down the road. If you look at this board behind you, this is all stuff that they've made me think about, if you will. So yeah, give them a look. I think it'll be well worth your time.
Well, the first time that I ever met you, Clay, was at that first conference in Tulsa, and that was an incredible conference. And I was so impressed with just the whole thing, just the professionalism, you as a person, your business, your work ethic, and really just who you are. And I was very impressed with all of that. And I thought, gosh, this might be someone that I would really consider working with. Like maybe he could really help me. And that's really what got me interested, because I was so impressed with just the professionalism of all of it. And I learned a lot. I come about once a year to a business conference, and I'd like to come more, but every year I try to come with my marketing girl with me. And we always learn something. And I think next year I'm going to bring my husband because he really needs to come too.
Okay, Thrive Nation, on today's show, I wanted to share with you a story about a good person who's growing a good business by treating their customers the way they want to be treated. She's a longtime client. We're honored to serve her and help her grow her business. And I want you to hear a great success story. So that being said, Dr. Stephanie, welcome on to the Thrivetime show. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing great. Thank you so much, Clay.
Well, first off, I'm going to pull up your website. So tell all the listeners, what's the name of your website so we can verify that you are, in fact, a real orthodontist?
Okay, my website is smileshollywood.com.
Okay, smileshollywood.com.
Yes.
I'm going to pull this up real quick here. And as I pull this up, I'm going to ask you a little bit about your background, because you're doing really well. You're based in McKinney, Texas. When did you have that vision to become an orthodontist? Like what age were you where you thought, you know what, I want to become an orthodontist?
Well, that had to have been when I was visiting my own orthodontist. Dr. Jim Boley, who's retired now, but was an awesome, great orthodontist and one of the greats, really. But what's funny is that I actually wanted to be a medical doctor first. And I used to go into his office and he'd say, Stephanie, you don't want to be a medical doctor. You want to be an orthodontist. And I said, no, I don't, Dr. Boley. Why are you saying that? And he started telling me all of the great things about dentistry and why it's so great, because you don't have to deal with people dying on you. You don't have to deal with sick people. You get to make people look amazing and beautiful by straightening their teeth, and you leave with happy patients. And, he talked me into it, and I thought, that sounds like a great job. So that's really how I became an orthodontist.
And you're in McKinney, Texas, right? So how long have you been an orthodontist in McKinney, Texas?
So I've been an orthodontist for 26 years, practicing in McKinney.
Years. And when you went to medical school, what percentage of the time in medical school or dental school, did they spend teaching you how to market and or grow your own practice?
Absolutely zero marketing skills.
Okay. And so one of the great things that I love about working with you is, we get to help you grow your business, but you get to be more of who you are. I mean, you get to help more patients and help more people create great smiles, and then we get to do some of the nitty gritty stuff that maybe isn't your highest and best use. And so I wanted to focus on some of the things we've been able to accomplish together over these few years here. First off, from a branding perspective, I really do feel like your website is first class. And from when I talk to Andrew, you're the coach who works with you, I'm always hearing that more and more patients are coming in from Google. Could you talk about that? How much of an impact does it have having maybe a rebranded or updated website and Google leads coming in?
It has had a huge difference, absolutely huge difference in our patient load coming in. And, before I really wasn't tracking really well. And that's one of the things I learned from Thrivetime Business was how to track patients coming in, how to really, how to see where they're coming from. And at the time, I really didn't know much about Google. And, being an orthodontist for 26 years, I didn't really know a lot I kind of went through a time where I went through shock. It was really what I call culture shock, because the old ways of marketing were not working anymore. And because I really didn't know about online marketing, I was still doing, phone book ads and magazine ads and all of these things. And so Thrivetime has really helped. I started out with 97 reviews. Now we have almost 600 reviews. And, it takes a long time to get those reviews, and you have to really work diligently. And, Andrew was amazing. My coach, he's fantastic. Really, really had to prod me sometimes because, sometimes I was like an old mule and just stuck my feet in and said, no, I don't want to do that. And he said, trust me, it works. And I just kept going, and he kept pushing. And I tell you what, it's really working. We're getting a lot of patients from Google, and it's fantastic.
Now, as far as gathering patients from the Google search results, there's a couple of things that have to happen. I mean, one, you've got to have the most content. There's 4 variables. One, you have to have the most original HTML content or text. Second, you have to have the most objective reviews from real customers. Third, your website has to be in constant mobile compliance, where we're updating the website to meet the current updated guidelines of the ever-evolving internet. And then we've got to make sure your website is canonically compliant, where it basically follows all Google's rules. How much has that helped your peace of mind, knowing that you have a team that's helping you update your website every month and that you don't have to do that?
It is a huge relief, an absolute huge relief, because I know that these things are being done. The SEO is being done properly. The backwriting under the website is being done properly and increasing, and we're relevant every single day. We're relevant because I know these things are happening. And before, I actually was trying to do some of these things on my own. And, I'm not the best writer. And then I realized, why am I doing this myself? Because honestly, I don't have the time. And so it's really a great relief to know that these things are being done and that they're working. And I saw when I first started with Thrivetime, I was probably 11 or 12. I was working with an SEO company at the time, and I was probably coming up 11 or 12, which is really the second page when somebody brings you up on the computer. But now I'm at 2, I'm at 3, I'm at 4, depending on the keywords. So I couldn't be more happy.
And, again, if we do a search for orthodontist in McKinney, Texas, we can find you right there in the top 3. Also, after you move past the 3-pack or the top 3 there, we can also find your site in the search results. And again, it's not a result of luck. It's not a result of some sort of woo-woo plan. It's specific, actionable processes. The next thing I want to talk about is just overall lead tracking and Dream 100 marketing. I think a lot of times people...
Okay.
Not you, but other people, entrepreneurs, none of our listeners, we might market based on feel. So if we feel like we're not getting enough leads, we might feel the need to go market. And if we feel like we're overwhelmed with leads, we might feel the need to not market. But one of the things that we try to teach to our wonderful clients like yourself is the importance of implementing a consistent and implementable plan, a consistent and practical plan. Could you talk about the importance of tracking your leads and then also just consistently doing those marketing systems like the Dream 100 that do produce fruit?
So the Dream 100 has really been a great addition. We were doing something similar to that, but really not with the concerted effort and doing it on a regular basis. We were kind of doing it a little more haphazardly. And I really have noticed a difference, because when you are visiting dentist's office and you're developing a relationship with them and they are seeing you on a regular basis every week or every 2 weeks, the staff starts to remember you. And so, you never know, a patient may come in tomorrow and you just drop by their office with a goodie today, and then they are going to think of you whenever it's time to refer for an orthodontist. And that's really made a big change in our practice too. And we track every single one of those. So we know how many Dr. X sent over, and we know how many Dr. Y sent over. So we know our top referrers, and we know the ones that we need to kind of get to know better. And help them send to us too.
There's somebody watching this right now who's a doctor, a dentist, a lawyer, and they're going, I don't know if the Dream 100 works. What do you say to that person who's sitting down with you right now and they go, I just don't know if that works?
I say it definitely works. And you definitely do have to get out and meet the dentist yourself. At least one time, even if you just, some of the dentists I couldn't actually just go meet, to have lunch. They didn't have lunches. So I just actually went by the office myself. I took a little goodie with me, a muffin or something, and I'd go by maybe right before lunch and just introduce myself. And then when my gal would come by every week or every other week to deliver things to their office, they at least knew who I was. I had introduced myself. And we found that we started getting patients that way. So it definitely helps.
Now, next thing I want to talk about is hiring. And I don't know if you've ever felt like this. I'm sure you haven't. It's probably just me. But whenever you have a garden that you plant, I'll pull up a picture of a garden so we can all picture it in our minds. Whenever you plant a garden, there's probably some initial excitement. You go, you know what? I'm going to plant these tomatoes. I'm going to do it. I'm going to get after it. This is my year. I'm going to get the garden going. I'm excited. I'm going organic. Let's go. Well, what happens is over time, people stop pulling the weeds. They stop tending to the garden. And over time, the garden becomes like an overgrown monster garden. The garden starts to become something that looks like a mistake, something that looks like something where your neighbors say, are you going to mow that thing? And it gets bad. And the same thing is true with employees. If you have a team of people that work for you on your payroll and you're a business owner, it turns out that the average American today, for whatever reason, and I'm going to pull up some stats here so people don't think I'm crazy. The U.S. Chamber reports that 75% of employees steal from the workplace. What? That's the U.S. Chamber reporting that 75% of employees steal from the workplace. And you might say, really? Yeah. And 85% of employees lie on resumes, meaning that they just make up some statistic and they throw it on their resumes. And 85% of employees are lying on their resumes. I'm pulling this up here, folks. But there's a certain group of employees that they just lie on the resumes, called 85% of job applicants lie on the resumes. And 75% of employees steal from the workplace. So in your business, you have a great staff and you want to keep it that way. So you can't hire the thieves. You can't hire people that lie on their resumes. So that 85% of the population that lies on the resumes, they can't work for you. And that 75% of the population that steals from the workplace, they can't work for you either because you want to wow your customers. Can you talk about embracing the processes that we teach of the ongoing hiring processes and just always recruiting new people?
Absolutely. So we have taken on really the task of making sure that we have every single day at any one time, there is going to be an ad out there for any position in our office. And, occasionally we'll have somebody come in and we'll have them, just do a little half a day or something. And what's really interesting is that even my employees, even when I'm not needing someone, my employees will be like, why are we having somebody come in? Do a working interview, and everybody gets really nervous, but it actually also helps them get on their best behavior again. So, but it's like, if you always have someone waiting in the wings, then should you have someone that drops off, maybe their husband gets transferred and they're a wonderful employee, but it's just, now they have to move and now you've got someone that you can hire. Or if you have someone that's like what happened in my office where, it was a inventory day and doctors weren't there and she decided to go work out and hang out with her boyfriend for 5 hours and then forgot to clock out, so that's called stealing.
Yeah. And recently, and these are just real examples I'm sharing with people. I've had some of my really, really nice employees. Two of them decided to have a baby and start a family. And so I'm not going to hold an employee hostage. I'm not mad that they decided to move on, but you get to a place where if you're not careful, folks, you're going to find yourself in a kind of a defensive posture where you're not going to be able to cover the appointments, the obligations, the customers that are reaching out to you. So if you're out there today, hiring has got to be a process and not an event. So again, just recapping: the branding, the marketing, the search engine optimization, the hiring, the tracking. I want to talk about retargeting ads. Retargeting ads, whenever somebody goes to your website, We've got to have ads that follow people around the internet, so that way people constantly see Smiles Hollywood, Smiles Hollywood, Smiles Hollywood, and that creates top of mind awareness. Can you talk about how important it is for you to know that you have a team of people thinking about those kind of things, so again, you don't have to?
Absolutely. And I think just being a Thrivetime customer really makes you feel like you're taken care of in so many different areas, because I didn't even know what those ads were when I first became a client. I didn't even know. I remember thinking, I wonder how you get to have an ad when you're going to your bank account, and then all of a sudden this thing pops up, for some brand of sunglasses that you were just looking at. I thought, how do you get those ads? How do you even find out about them? And so these are the ads that you guys fixed us up with, and they're fantastic. And I do know that they do bring in patients.
Now, coaching is an ongoing process. Every week, Andrew meets with you. Every week, I know this might sound shocking for folks out there, but every single morning, our coaches have to meet with me at 6 a.m. And I ask them every morning, I say, how's your client doing? And I go over all 160 clients. It's a real thing. I go over 40 clients every single day. I go over the checklist of all 40 clients every day. And we do that you do every single morning. So every week we review the files of all 160 clients to make sure you guys are thriving, you're growing, you're not backsliding, everyone's doing well. Could you talk about the importance of having somebody who, A, helps you track, but also kind of pushes you to be your best?
Well, that has been a lifesaver, because honestly, I kind of learned it on myself, because Andrew was good about pushing me, and he would say, okay, well, did you meet with your staff about this or that? And I said, oh yeah, I didn't quite do that. And so he was really good about reminding me that I needed to meet with my staff once a week or once a day, whatever it was, depending on the item. But I found, like, for instance, with my front desk girl, she was fantastic, but she was supposed to be following up on leads. She was supposed to have a lead list. And so every week I would call her and say, hey, how's that lead list? And I would actually have Andrew on the phone with me, and we would talk, and she kind of would say, oh yeah, they're good. And, and then finally, I think she got it. She realized I need a list. And so I think she realized Dr. Kreis is going to ask me every week, and I better get organized here. And so she actually came up with her own lead list in her own little system, which was fantastic, by the way, and has helped us tremendously at the front desk. And anytime we go over the lead list, because I have about 3 employees that have lead lists, different kinds of lead lists, and she is fantastic. I never have to worry about her lead list. The other 2, I have to check theirs. And that's the thing, is I think you start to really hold your employees accountable, and Andrew helps hold me accountable and make sure that I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing, because let's face it, life gets busy, and I mean, I'm a mom and I'm a wife and I have all kinds of other things going on too. And so I want to have a thriving business, but you have to put the work into your business. And it's nice to have someone there prodding me along when I get lazy.
Now, you're one of these wonderful folks where, most of our clients, they actually come to the workshops. They also do coaching. And so you're somebody who's been to the conferences. You do the weekly coaching. You've seen the whole experience. I guess, some people describe our coaching system as life-changing, or they focus on the numbers. How would you describe how the one-on-one coaching in conjunction with the conferences has impacted maybe you and or your business?
Well, the first time that I ever met you, Clay, was at that first conference in Tulsa. And that was an incredible conference. And I was so impressed with just the whole thing, just the professionalism, you as a person, your business, your work ethic, and really just who you are. And I was very impressed with all of that. And I thought, gosh, this might be someone that I would really consider working with. Like, maybe he could really help me. And that's really what got me interested, because I was so impressed with just the professionalism of all of it. And I learned a lot. I come about once a year to a business conference, and I'd like to come more, but every year I try to come with my marketing girl with me. And we always learn something. And I think next year I'm going to bring my husband because he really needs to come too. And he's been going along with this with me, and he's thinking, wow, this is really working for you. Maybe I need to come. So we've loved it.
So if somebody's watching right now, they're on the website, they go to thrivetimeshow.com, they're thinking about scheduling a free consultation, or they're thinking about coming to a workshop. What do you say to somebody out there that's on the fence, thinking about coming to a conference and or scheduling a free 13-point assessment?
Well, I say absolutely do it. Absolutely do it. And I will say that it's a process. It doesn't happen overnight, but if you stay the course, you're going to see results, because I'm absolutely convinced.
Dr. Christ, thank you for allowing us to take up some of your valuable time today. I really do appreciate you, and I can't wait to see you in person here soon.
All right. Thanks so much, Clay.
Ladies and gentlemen, a lot of people talk about having success. A lot of people want to have success, but there is a proven path to achieve success. And about 4 years ago, I had the opportunity to connect with somebody by the name of Dr. Mark Sherwood. My good friend Aaron Antis swore by the results of Dr. Sherwood. My good friend Pastor Craig Hagan swore by the results of Dr. Sherwood. And we had a chance to team up, and it's been an honor to team up with his practice and to help him grow his medical practice. And if you're out there today and you want to grow your business, on today's show, we're going to talk about growing your business and what happens when you diligently implement a proven plan. And here to talk about it is Dr. Sherwood. Welcome onto the Thrivetime Show. How are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm doing well, Clay. Thanks for having me. And it has been an honor, hasn't it? What a ride and what a journey it's been.
Now, without getting into the specific financial numbers, you and I were talking offline, and I believe since you and I first talked on the phone to today, I believe you're about 7 times larger. Is that an accurate number? Am I getting that number wrong in some capacity?
No, it's at least 7, closer to 8. Yeah.
And that's so many people talk about growing their business by 2% or 5% or 12%. I want to give people some real facts here. We're going to go here to Inc. I'm going to do a search right now on Google. And I want everyone to do it with me. Assume I'm making this up. Inc. magazine reports that 96% of businesses fail. That's according to Inc. magazine. That's not clayclark.com. 96%. Now, if you go to usdebtclock.com, which is, by the way, a great way to get depressed. If you go to usdebtclock.org, you'll see that in America today, we only have 9.3 million self-employed people and a country of 336 million. So if even 10% of our country was self-employed, that'd be 36 million self-employed people. But we only have 9 million self-employed people. So we're talking about, it's like less than 3% of our population is even self-employed to begin with. And so if less than 3% of our population is self-employed, and 96% of businesses fail, by default, folks, you've got, it's a very, very small percentage chance of being successful by default. And so what I want to focus on is the implementing a proven path and a proven system. So step number 1, since you and I have connected, I didn't teach this to you, but you do it. You diligently implement a plan. Can you talk about that? Because every week, you and I, we connect every week, in this case, there's a plan that you do, and I won't get into all the details, but you do it every single week. You do it in the gym. You do it in your business. Talk about implementing a proven routine every day.
Well, I think the end of the story of a routine is it produces predictability. And so I look at it like this, good habits done consistently over time provides reliability, which gives you consistency, which gives you faithfulness, which gives you trust. Now, trust is a big deal. Does that trust mean you trust yourself? I hope so. Does it trust mean that your customers or clientele trust you? They do, because it's predictable. The thing that people can't stand, Clay, is unpredictability or chaos or just anxiety that's driven in businesses. So we facilitate that culture from the top down, the bottom up. And as you mentioned, every day, I get up and I'm very routine. And so are you. We started working together. I remember you telling me you get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, blah, 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 blah. And I did, I probably wake up about an hour after you, boom, boom, boom. But it's very predictable. People know where we are, what we're going to do, what we're about, and it creates an expectation. And I think that, among other things, has been a key element to experiencing, the 800% growth we've had, which is to me, it wasn't that hard because it's a process that works.
Now, the next question I want to ask you is, focus on what you need to do, but then say no to the things you don't need to do. Again, you have to say no to grow. So yes, you're diligent and you're consistent, but you're also saying no to grow. And now there are billboards, there are magazines, there are yellow pages. Yes, there are still a few yellow pages. There are billboards, there's magazines, there's local cable TV. There's so many different ways that you could be marketing your business, but you've had to say no to grow. You've had to focus on, and you and your wife, you guys do books, you do documentaries, you do podcast interviews. You have a proven path, a proven trajectory that you're on, but you do have to say no to grow. And sometimes you have to say no to good things in order to say yes to great things. Can you talk about the importance of saying no to grow?
Yeah, specifically in our job, what we do, which is a kind of a wellness based optimization of health practice, right? So the bottom line is I run everything through that filter. And our filter is, does it bring healing to the person? Does it bring betterment to the person? And there's all kinds of procedures, gizmos, gadgets, and whatnots out here that we could get involved in. But I always look at it from this standpoint. It's got to run through that filter and it's got to pass the test. Is it going to take us more time? Is it going to take us more labor? What's the expense of it going to be originally? And what's it going to take for us to recoup the expense, if any? And so I run it through that filter every single time. And if it doesn't hash out, it may be a good thing, but it's not a good thing for us. And people don't understand that. But sometimes the greatest answer is no, because it's a no that protects you from getting hurt. And you mentioned all that advertising mess out there. Clay, we've been approached by, as you know, many, many people to advertise in all kinds of markets. But if you don't know what kind of person that you're after, what is your target demographic, then you can't just throw spitballs out there at the different sources, because you will waste your time and money. And again, in that area, advertising, no to grow is critical.
Now, the next area I want to focus on is having a linear workflow or a mapped out workflow or a written down process. So many business owners don't have a written down process. So let me just give people an example. I'm going to go up to my website, and then I'll go to your website so people can see this. Very predictable. If people go to thrivetimeshow.com, which, by the way, folks, we have about 5 to 10 people a day that often reach out looking for help growing their company. Now, I only take on 160 clients. That's not a spiritual number. That's not a reason. I don't do that for any spiritual reason. It's just I have found that with my team, I like to not have more than 160 clients so that I can meet all my clients. And those clients, they schedule a free consultation. And in order to do that, I have a kind of a call screener that sets up an appointment. They hop on the phone. They find out if they're a good fit for a free consultation. Then my team books the free consultation for me. And because our average client is with us for 6 years or longer, if you do the math, we have an opening for a new client about every month or so. So if you look at TWA Photos, this is one of my longtime clients based in Chicago, him, and we're going to hear his success story on part 2 of today's show. He reached out. He filled out the form. A member of my team called Tim to see if he was a good fit. I then coached Tim on the first call, found out he's a good fit, did my assessment, found out he's a good fit, coached him through what we're going to do, laid out the proven plan. True story, and you're going to hear it on part 2 of today's show. Tim went on to build a very, very successful company, and he sold his business. Well, when he sold his business for a big-time exit, guess what that did? That created an opening for another client. And so the process we have over and over and over is you go to thrivetimeshow.com, you can schedule a free consultation. My call screener vets that person to see if they're a good fit. If they are a good fit, they do an onboarding with myself. Also, we have conference tickets. We do a conference every 2 months. And I've been doing this since 2005. So since 2005, I've been essentially doing the same process over and over and over. That's why when you click on testimonials, you will literally see thousands of client success stories, just thousands, not 100, not 50, but thousands. So I want to see if you can walk us through, what does the workflow look like when people go to Sherwood.tv? What does that workflow look like?
It's fascinating. And again, you and I just kind of hit it off because we think the same way. So we have, we have an opportunity. People visit our website and we get, hundreds of visitors every day, and people can fill out a little questionnaire. It's like a health assessment questionnaire. It's free. And they get put through a series of funnel emails to sort of qualify what they want to do, and it sort of kind of vets them at the outset. But if they want to work with us, just like yourself, we have a free webinar that they can go to. At that point, after attending the webinar, Clay, they then have the opportunity at that point to schedule a one-on-one assessment intake appointment with my wife and myself. At that appointment, we determine whether or not they're a good fit. If they're a good fit, we develop a plan for those and execute the same plan with the same formula. It's more personalized for their lives, much like you personalize that plan with the same general processes for that business. We personalize that plan of the same general processes for their life.
Now, when people work with me, with my business, and I'm not a medical business, I have a proven process and a proven system. And so when people go and they go to thrivetimeshow.com and they look at the different success stories, we have companies like oxyfresh.com. We've helped them to grow now to 570 locations, 570. And I could go on just listing examples all day. We take companies like Shaw Homes, help them grow from $15 million to $150 million of revenue. And we just have so many success stories. It truly is epic. And that's why the parent company is called Make Your Life Epic. That is what we do, make your life epic. Dr. Sherwood, I would say what he does is very analogous to what we do for business, he does for your body. Yeah. And so, I believe what he does, Dr. Sherwood, Sherwood.tv, what he does for your body is very analogous to what we do for business. We guide people down a proven path, and we actually tell people before they decide to become a client what the path is. We tell people, this is what we're going to do to get you from where you are to where you want to be. Now, I know a lot of people, I would say specifically 3 people that I see on a weekly basis who have lost over 40 pounds since going to Sherwood.tv. So 3 people that I see on a weekly basis have lost over 40 pounds as a result of going to Sherwood.tv, learning about the protocols you offer, and then following those. You tell people in advance what the protocol is going to be. That's very different from a lot of other medical programs that kind of hide the program or the protocol from the potential customer, from the potential patient. They hide it and they say, once you sign up, then we'll teach you the protocol. Why are you so transparent with teaching people what your protocol is going to be before they become a patient?
I think it produces trustworthiness, Clay, because a lot of times with what we do, transparency is key, because my wife and I do it too. And I'm not knocking anybody else. I just know that what you just said is very true. It is analogous to you making someone's company greater. I want to see their lives get greater. I want to optimize their health, give them the biological aging process of speed that's optimal so they're not aging too fast. And so we live it out, we do it. And then it's no secret, man. There are some processes that work. And I tell them, if you're willing to do this, this will work. And they see us doing it every day. We don't hide our lives and we don't shield them. We don't do something, tell them do something we're not doing ourselves. So I think it's exactly as you said. And to your point, we deal with a lot of entrepreneurs that have worked with you and do work with you. So the interesting overlap is cool. I can think of a couple of people that we've worked with that also are your clients in their business, and I've watched their businesses explode as their personal lives explode. So the synergy there is just astounding to me as I think about that.
Now, I want to walk people through this again here, folks. Again, we're trying to walk you through that. How is it that a doctor, a medical provider, a health facility is able to grow their revenue by 8 times within a period of just a few years? How is that possible when 96% of businesses are failing? One is you have to have a proven plan. 2, you have to implement that plan each and every week. And 3, you have to measure what you treasure. You just have to measure what you treasure. You have to track or it's going to slack. And that's true with health, and it's true with wealth. You have to track or it's going to slack. And so any area of our lives, if you're listening right now, you talk about your faith, your family, your finance, your fitness, your friendship, your fun, any area where we are not achieving at our optimal performance, it's probably because we're not measuring what we're treasuring. It's probably we're not focusing on it. And again, I'm not attacking anybody out there. There's somebody out there listening right now. You are in phenomenal physical shape, and financially, you're not in shape. There's somebody else out there listening. You're in great financial shape. You're in great physical shape, but your family's not in great shape. Somebody else out there, you say you got your family, you got your faith, you got your fitness, you got your friendship. But you're really, really in a bad spot in another area. So whatever we measure is what we treasure. Talk about that for a second, because you have a way of helping your patients and your clients to measure what they treasure and to track. And I see people all the time coming into my office of being excited. They've lost 4 pounds. They lost 6 pounds. They lost 9 pounds. They lost 20. They lost 21 pounds. They lost 27 pounds. They lost 30. They lost 40. And you see people gaining confidence every week as they begin to take this massive goal they have and they start to see success day after day. Talk about measuring what you treasure.
Yeah, one thing I forgot to add too in the process, we have quarterly events. I mean, and I didn't, we have those things too, which are kind of cool. That's kind of a culmination of stuff that people can celebrate. But when we talk about measurables, we talk about this all the time. Physical, emotional, intellectual, spiritual, financial, the 5 parts of a human experience, and so, and I talk to them. I don't get into heavy dealings with their debt though, but I talk to them about eliminating debt and building equity. But I use that same terminology within health. I don't want wellness debt. I want wellness equity. So in other words, if you can't measure it, don't do it. I never do a test unless I know what I'm asking, what questions I'm trying to get answered, and why I'm measuring it. I don't do that. You mentioned weight loss. We have a unique way to measure that, not just about what the scale says, but I'm measuring their body composition, Clay. I'm measuring their percent body fat. I want to know how much muscle they've maintained or grown and how much fat they've been able to lose. I want to know their visceral fat level. I want to know their blood pressure. I want to know all their scores that I can find. We've even got tests that can score their biological aging processes and speeds and actualities. It quantifies that into measurable components. And so we're actually developing right now, and I haven't got it rolled out yet, a quotient. We're going to call it the FMI age, and it's going to be a little massive thing that we're going to put together. Because, I think people are aging in a way that is probably too fast, and I think we can probably age better. But to your point, I concur 1,000%. If you can't measure it and it's not quantifiable, don't do it, because then it becomes a distraction.
Now, I want to tap into your wisdom on this, let you kind of show off what you do a little bit here. One of my wonderful clients is called Kolaw Fitness, and Charles Kolaw started out doing personal training. And on part 2 of today's show, folks, you're going to hear his success story too. So you're going to hear the success story of TWA Photos. You're going to hear the success story of Kolaw Fitness. He started out doing personal training, and then he decided, I want to open up a gym. And then he said, I want to open up a second gym. And that's where we met him, is as he was scaling the business. And so what he does when people want to lose weight, I'll tell you his secret. He tells them, here's the deal. I need you to not eat wheat, no sweets, and no alcohol. And people are like, what? He's like, no wheat, no sweets, no alcohol. We'll see you 3 days a week working out. And he starts that process. He starts small, no wheat, no sweets, no alcohol, 3 days a week working out. And then over time, they start to add maybe more detail to it, more supplementation, more detail, maybe more vigorousness to it. But they start off with no wheat, no sweets, no alcohol, 3 days a week working out. And then they start to build on that foundation. I want to get your just for anybody out there that's thinking about becoming a Sherwood.tv patient or client, and they're maybe concerned about what's going to be required of them. What sort of life changes need to be made in the lives of people that, are thinking about implementing the Sherwood path? And I know there's a lot of details, a lot of research that you do into each and every patient, but what are a couple practical steps that every single one of your patients has to implement right away?
Well, I appreciate, I know Charles and his wife, great people, by the way, and I concur with what he said. That's a great start for anybody right there. So at least take that. I think for us, our advice would be simply put, if it's real food, eat it, don't diet. If it's in the original package, it's fine. If you can imagine it being in that package in the Garden of Eden, it's fine. So I tell people typically to stay away, it's going to sound crazy, anything the government subsidizes, don't do it. That's kind of what I tell them with food. And then people can go, oh, yeah, I get that, because the government subsidizes wheat, corn, soy, dairy, and that kind of mess, So I tell them stay away from that. Then I tell them that every day I want you to try to get, somewhere between about 7 hours, give or take, is probably if you can get that much. And then I tell them every day that you don't move is a day you're dead. So I want them to move more, sit less. The days you don't move are the day that you are going to be into rigor mortis. So I make sure I tell them that. And then I want them to have the last little bit, speak life over self, man. Don't speak death over self. Because many times people can walk themselves into a process of oblivion by talking themselves into death every day, saying they can't do it.
Now, for anybody out there that hasn't worked with us, I mean, you and I have had the opportunity to work together faithfully each and every week now for years. What would you say the impact has been on your business? Working with us, you and I working together. For anybody out there who's maybe thinking about working with us or becoming a client of ours.
Well, without question, people need guidance today, Clay. It's like a ship without a rudder. You represent the rudder. You can teach them how to drive, but you also shift that boat in the right direction. And I would recommend people do connect with you because you will do a good job. It will be consistent. It will be predictable. And if people just copy these habits, no matter what business you're in, you can adapt them to the business, the habits work, and you will see a good return on that investment, and it will exponentially grow. And then the last thing I'll say with that, when you connect with Clay Clark, you need to set your bar high. He will not let you set that bar low because he's going to stretch you, he's going to push you, and he's going to get I'll just say it like this, he will pull the potential out of you and get you believing again in a good way. So highly recommend it.
It's working with you has been an honor. It's a true win-win. For anybody out there that's looking for health optimization, check it out at Sherwood.tv, Sherwood.tv. And again, what you do is so analogous for health to what we do for wealth. And so for anybody out there, if you're looking to optimize your health, check out Sherwood.tv, Sherwood.tv. Dr. Sherwood, thank you so much. And again, for anybody out there that doesn't know the story here, which should be everybody, you and I were just talking offline the other day, and you were saying, hey, Clay, I just want you to know, since you and I first connected, we're up, 8 times. And I just thought, well, man, there's so much discouragement in the world we live in. We need to document this and get this on camera. So thank you for keeping us updated, sir. And I can't wait to have you on the show next week.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me as always.
Clay Clark is here somewhere. Where's my buddy Clay? Clay's the greatest. I met his goats today. I met his dogs. I met his chickens. I saw his compound. He's like the greatest guy.
I ran from his goats, his chickens, his dogs.
So this guy's like the greatest marketer you've ever seen, right? His entire life, Clay Clark, his entire life is marketing.
Okay, Aaron Antis, March 6th and 7th. March 6th and 7th, guess who's coming to Tulsa, Jerusalem?
Ooh, Santa Claus?
No, that's March 6th and 7th. You're going to be joined by Robert Kiyosaki. Best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Probably the best-selling or one of the best-selling business authors of all time. And he's going to be joined with Eric Trump. He'll be joined by Eric Trump. So we got Eric Trump and Robert Kiyosaki in the same place. Aaron, why should everybody show up to hear Robert Kiyosaki?
Well, you got billions of dollars of business experience between those two, not to mention many, many, many millions of books have been sold. Many, many millionaires have been made from the books that have been sold by Robert Kiyosaki. I happen to be one of them. I learned from the man. He was the inspiration. That book was the inspiration for me to get the entrepreneurial spirit, as many other people.
Now, since you won't brag on yourself, I will. You've sold billions of dollars of houses, am I correct?
That is true.
And the book that kickstarted it all for you,
Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the author, the best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, the guy that kickstarted your career.
Yeah.
He's going to be here.
I'm pumped.
And now Eric Trump, people don't know this, but the Trump organization has thousands of employees. There's not 50 employees. The Trump organization, again, most people don't know this, but the Trump organization has thousands of employees. And while Donald J. Trump was the 45th president of these United States and soon to be the 47th president of these United States, he needed someone to run the companies for him. And so the man that runs the Trump organization before Donald J. Trump, as he was the 45th president of the United States, and now the 47th president of the United States is Eric Trump. And so Eric Trump is here to talk about time management, promoting from within, marketing, branding, quality control, sales systems, workflow design, workflow mapping, how to build. I mean, everything that you see, the Trump hotels, the Trump golf courses, all their products, the man who manages billions of dollars of real estate and thousands of employees is here to teach us how to do it.
You are talking about one of the greatest brands on the planet from a business standpoint.
Right.
I mean, who else has been able to create a brand like the Trump brand? I mean, look at it. And this is the man behind the business for the last pretty much since 2015. He's been the man behind it. So you're talking, we're into 9 going into 10 years of him running it, and we get to tap into that knowledge. That's going to be amazing.
Now, think about this for a second. Would you buy a ticket just to see Robert Kiyosaki and Eric Trump? Of course you would.
Of course you would.
But we're also going to be joined by Sean Baker. This is the best-selling author, the guy who invented the carnivore diet.
Oh, yeah.
Dr. Sean Baker. He's been on Joe Rogan multiple times. He's going to be joining us. So you've got Robert Kiyosaki, the best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Eric Trump, Sean Baker. The lineup continues to grow, and this is how we do our tickets here at the Thrivetime Show. If you want to get a VIP ticket, you can absolutely do it. It's $500 for a VIP ticket. We've always done it that way. Now, if you want to take a general admission ticket, it's $250 or whatever price you want to pay. And the reason why I do that, and the reason why we do that is because we want to make our events affordable for everybody. I grew up without money. I totally understand what it's like to be in a tight spot. So if you want to attend, it's $250 or whatever price you want to pay. That's how I do it. And it's $500 for a VIP ticket. Now, we only have limited seating here. With the most people we've ever had in this building was for the Jim Brewer presentation. Jim Brewer came here, the legendary comedian Jim Brewer came to Tulsa, and we had 419 people that were here. 419 people.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, there's no more room. I felt kind of bad that a couple people had VIP seats in the men's restroom. Oh, no, I'm just kidding. But I thought, you know what, we should probably add on. So we're adding on what we call the upper deck, or the top shelf. So the seats are very close to the presenters, but we're actually building right now. We're adding on to the facility to make room to accommodate about another 30 attendees or more. So again, if you want to get tickets for this event, all you have to do is go to thrivetimeshow.com. Go to thrivetimeshow.com. When you go to thrivetimeshow.com, you'll go there, you'll request a ticket, boom. Or if you want to text me, if you want a little bit faster service, you say, I want you to call me right now. Just text my number. It's my cell phone number, my personal cell phone number. We'll keep that private between you, me, everybody. We'll keep that private. In anybody. Don't share that with anybody except for everybody. That's my private cell phone number. It's 918-851-0102. 918-851-0102. I know we have a lot of Spanish-speaking people that attend these conferences, and to be bilingually sensitive, my cell phone number is 918-851-0102.
That is not actually bilingual. That's just saying Juan for a one. It's not the same thing.
I think you're attacking me. Now, let's talk about this. Now, what kind of stuff will you learn at the Thrivetime Show workshop? So, Aaron, you've been to many of these over the past 7-8 years. So let's talk about it. I'll tee up the thing, and then you tell me what you're going to learn here, okay?
Okay.
You're going to learn marketing and branding. What are we going to learn about marketing and branding?
Oh, yeah. We're going to dive into, so many people say, I got to get my brand known out there, like the Trump brand, right? You want to get that brand out there. It's like, how do I actually make people know what my business is and make it a household name? You're going to learn some intricacies of how you can do that.
You're going to learn sales. So many people struggle to sell something. This just in, your business will go to hell if you can't sell. So we're going to teach you sales. We're going to teach you search engine optimization, how to come up top in the search engine results. We're going to teach you how to manage people. Aaron, you have managed, no exaggeration, hundreds of people throughout your career and thousands of contractors. And most people struggle with managing people. Why does everybody have to learn how to manage people?
Well, because first of all, you either have great people or you have people who suck. And so it can be a challenge. Learning how to work with a large group of people and get everybody pulling in the same direction can be a challenge. But if you have the right systems, you have the right processes, and you're really good at selecting great ones, and we have a process we teach about how to find great people. When you start with the people who have a great attitude, they're teachable, they're driven, all of those things, then, you know, you can get those people all pulling in the same direction.
So we're going to teach you branding, marketing, sales, search engine optimization. We're going to teach you accounting. We're going to teach you personal finance, how to manage your finance. We're going to teach you time management. How do you manage your time? How do you get more done during a typical day? How do you build an organization if you're not organized? How do you do organization? How do you build an org chart? Everything that you need to know to start and grow a business will be taught during this 2-day interactive business workshop. Now, let me tell you how the format is set up here. And again, folks, this is a 2-day interactive 15. Think about this, folks. It's 2 days. Each day it starts at 7 a.m. and it goes until 5 p.m. So from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., 2 days. It's a 2-day interactive workshop. The way we do it is we do a 30-minute teaching session, and then we break for 15 minutes for a question and answer session. So, Aaron, what kind of great stuff happens during that 15-minute question and answer session after every teaching session?
I actually think it's the best part about the workshops, because here's what happens. I've been to lots of these things over the years. I've paid many thousands of dollars to go to them. And you go in there and they talk in vague generalities, and they're constantly upselling you for something, trying to get you to buy this thing or that thing or this program or this membership. And you leave not getting your very specific questions answered about your business or your employees or what you're doing on your marketing. And what's awesome about this is we literally answer every single question that any person asks, and it's very specific to what your business is.
And what we do is we allow you as the attendee to write your questions on the whiteboard.
Yep.
And then we literally, as you mentioned, we answer every single question on the whiteboard. And then we take a 15-minute break to stretch and to make it entertaining when you're stretching. And this is a true story. When you get up and stretch, you'll be greeted by mariachis. There's going to probably be alpaca here, llamas, helicopter rides, a coffee bar, a snow cone. I mean, there's just...
You had a crocodile one time. That was pretty interesting.
You know, I should write that down and actually do that.
Sorry for that one guy that we lost.
The crocodile, we duct taped its face so that we duct taped.
No, it was a baby crocodile.
And it was duct tape.
Yeah, duct tape around the mouth so it didn't bite anybody. But it was really cool passing that thing around and
I should do that. We have a small petting zoo that will be assembled. It's going to be great. And then you're in the company of hundreds of entrepreneurs. So there's not a lot of people in America today. In fact, there's less than 10 million people today, according to U.S. Debt Clock, that identify as being self-employed. So if you have a country with 350 million people, that means you have less than 3% of our population that's even self-employed. Yeah. So you only have 3 out of every 100 people in America that are self-employed to begin with. And when Inc. magazine reports that 96% of businesses fail by default, you have a 1 out of 1,000 chance of succeeding in the game of business. But yet the average client that you and I work with, we can typically double this. And this is no hyperbole, no exaggeration. And I have thousands of testimonials to back this up. We have thousands of testimonials to back it up. But when you work with a home builder, when I work with a business owner, we can typically double the size of the company within 24 months.
Yeah.
Double. And you say double? Yeah, there's businesses that we have tripled. There's businesses we've grown 8x. There's so many examples you can see at thrivetimeshow.com. But again, this is the most interactive, best business workshop on the planet. This is objectively the highest rated and most reviewed business workshop on the planet. And then you add to that Robert Kiyosaki, the best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. You add to that Eric Trump, the man that runs the Trump Organization. You add to that Sean Baker. Now you might take, but Clay, is there more? I need more. Well, okay, Tom Wheelwright is the wealth strategist for Robert Kiyosaki. So people say, Robert Kiyosaki, who's his financial wealth advisor? Who's the guy who manages, who's his wealth strategist? His wealth strategist, Tom Wheelwright, will be here. And you say, Clay, I'm not going to get a ticket unless you give me more. Okay, fine. We're going to serve you the same meal both days. True story. We cater in the food, and because I keep it simple, I literally bring in the same food both days for lunch. It's Ted Escondido's, an incredible Mexican restaurant. That's going to happen. And Jill Donovan, our good friend, who is the founder of Rustic Cuff. She started that company in her home, and now she sells millions of dollars of apparel and products. That's rusticcuff.com. And someone says, I want more. This is not enough.
Give me more.
Okay. I'm not going to mention their names right now because I'm working on it behind the scenes here. But we've got one guy who's given me a verbal. to be here. And this is a guy who's one of the wealthiest people in Oklahoma, and nobody really knows who he is because he's built systems that are very utilitarian, that offer a lot of value. He's made a lot of money in the it's where you rent. It's short term. It's where you're renting storage spaces. He's a storage space guy. He owns the. What do you call that? The rental.
A storage space.
Storage units. This guy owns storage units. He owns railroad cars. He owns a lot of assets that make money on a daily basis, but they're not like customer facing. Most people don't know who owns the mini storage facility, or most people don't know who owns the warehouse that's passively making money. Most people don't know who owns the railroad cars, but this guy, he's given me a verbal that he will be here, and we just continue to add more and more success stories. So if you're out there today and you want to change your life, you want to give yourself an incredible gift, you want a life-changing experience, you want to learn how to start and grow a company, go to thrivetimeshow.com. Go there right now, thrivetimeshow.com. Request a ticket for the 2-day interactive event. Again, the day here is March 6th and 7th. March 6th and 7th, we just got confirmation. Robert Kiyosaki, best-selling author, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, he'll be here. Eric Trump, the man who leads the Trump Organization. It's going to be a blasty blast. There's no upsells. Aaron, I could not be more excited about this event.
I think it is incredible. And there's somebody out there right now, you're watching and you're like, but I already signed up for this incredible other program called Smoke Your Way to Thin. You think that's going to change your life? I promise you this will be 10 times better than that.
Looks like I picked the wrong week to quit smoking.
Don't do the Smoke Your Way to Thin conference. That is, I've tried it. Don't do it.
Yeah, chain smoking is not a viable. I mean, it is life changing. It is life changing. If you become a chain smoker, it is life changing.
Not the best weight loss program, though.
Right. Really. So if you're looking to have life changing results in a way that won't cause you to have a stoma, get your tickets at thrivetimeshow.com. Again, that's Aaron Antis. I'm Clay Clark, and reminding you and inviting you to come out to the 2-day interactive Thrive Time Show workshop right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I promise you it will be a life-changing experience. We can't wait to see you right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma.